Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. Here, we bring you fun, thrilling, and immersive novels in audio form. With a growing library of audiobooks, there's something here for every listener. Do you like Naruto fan fiction? We have it all. From powerful ninja battles to amazing sage arts and wood-style moves, or even Tsunoda's boobs, you can enjoy epic adventures anytime. Love One Piece stories? Soar through the skies with Moonwalk, sense the world with observation hockey, clash with enemies using armament hockey, spending the night with Nami and Robin, and rise to fame by unleashing your conqueror's hockey. Become a true pirate of the seas. Your adventure starts here. Want even more? You can go full Bankai. Let's go. We offer a wide range of stories, including Fairy Tales, Hunter x Hunter, High School DxD, Marvel and DC, Harry Potter, and many more. So, what are you waiting for? Jump into endless adventures today. We're waiting for you at Novel Love Hearing. Misaka Mikoto's own eyes went wide as a sense of unease, a dark cloud of foreboding, rose in her chest. The chat group went silent. Everyone more or less had the same idea, but nobody wanted to be the first to say it. Yukino Shita, Yukino, Rei-ao, are you implying they're clones? In the end, Yukino Shita was the one to break the silence. Misaka Mikoto, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Her reaction was extremely intense. Rei-ao, Mikoto, calm down. Think carefully. Didn't you once donate your DNA? He tried to reassure her, offering that hint. A memory from the past surfaced in Misaka Mikoto's mind. She recalled being much younger. As a child, she had given a DNA map to Yamashita University Hospital. They told her it was to develop medicine for treating muscular dystrophy. The young Mikoto had believed them and donated her DNA map. Could it have been back then? Misaka Mikoto murmured, trembling all over. Chapter 285, Absolute Power Evolution, Higuchi Pharmacology Laboratory 7, Level 6 Shift. Mikoto Misaka did not answer Rei-ao's question. That silence alone was enough to convey the issue at hand. Things had reached this point. Rei-ao decided to be completely honest with her. Rei-ao, Mikoto, you must already know whose hand your donated DNA ended up in. Rei-ao, and what I want to tell you is that the person you saw is, in fact, your clone. Mikoto Misaka, how can that be? They told me that my DNA map was for developing a treatment for muscular dystrophy. Yukino Shita, Yukino, it seems you were deceived. Rei-ao is talking about mad scientists using your DNA to create clones. Mikoto Misaka, but, why? She clenched her teeth, unable to comprehend their motive. Rei-ao, why? That's precisely what I'm about to explain. Rei-ao, next, let me tell you about the Railgun mass production plan. The Railgun mass production plan. Its essence was to analyze and replicate the genetic sequence formula of an esper. The goal was to reliably produce espers, which under normal circumstances appear only by chance. Perhaps one in a million. The Higuchi Pharmacology Laboratory 7, which carried out the Railgun mass production plan, used the DNA of Railgun, Mikoto Misaka, to mass produce the sisters. Every Misaka sister is a clone of Mikoto Misaka. To speed up their physical and mental development, the experiment used drugs such as Zido-2, Riz-13, and Lo-3, enabling a body identical to Railgun's to develop in just 14 days. Basic knowledge of speech, movement, ethics, and so on was forcibly imprinted via a learning device. Each Misaka sister cost a mere 180,000 yen. In the final phase of the experiment, according to calculations by the tree diagram designer, the mass-produced sisters had less than 1% of Railgun's power. Their abilities averaged only level 2. No amount of genetic engineering or postnatal training could produce a level 5 clone of an esper. Hence, the plan to mass-produce Railguns was permanently shelved. Yatsuya Maiko, ugh. I've got goosebumps. How terrifying. So these really are mad scientists? She wasn't the only one, many others were shaken. The mere idea of mass-producing Mikoto Misaka was chilling in itself. Yukino Shita, Yukino, what's even more frightening is the way they've put a price on human life. Especially after Rei-ao emphasized that a single mature Misaka's sister cost 180,000 yen and explained the purchasing power of that amount, Yukino Shita, Yukino felt a cold chill rise from her feet to her head. The fact that it cost so little to create a life was horrifying, as was the notion of valuing life in monetary terms. Accepting that kind of setup. One could only imagine the depths people might sink to. Iragi Shinoa, humans always love to dabble in forbidden territory. In her own world, the humans researching Seraph of the End were no different. So that's what this is all about. Having come to believe Rei-ao's explanation, Mikoto Misaka sank weakly to the ground. Fear, dread, anger, guilt. All sorts of emotions turned inside her. For the first time, she truly hated those mad scientists. And she hated her own ignorance as well. Frieren, Wait, there's a problem. If the project was stopped and the sisters were all frozen, then who is the one Mikoto Misaka saw? Kasuga Hijiri, could she have escaped in secret? Iragi Shinoa, I don't think those mad scientists would overlook something like that. Rao, you're right. It's not some simple oversight. It has to do with a new project called the Absolute Power Evolution, Level 6 Shift. Following that thread, Rao went on to explain the project in detail. Academy City places the highest priority on developing special abilities. And the ultimate goal of ability development is known as system. Becoming an existence akin to the will of a god descended upon the mortal world. To further approach godhood, they needed to create something beyond human. A level 6 shift. By surpassing human limits, they hoped to understand the will of a god. Thus, the Absolute Power Evolution plan came into being. Through precise calculations by the tree diagram designer, only one of the 7 level 5 espers in Academy City, Accelerator, who ranks first, had the potential to evolve into a level 6. But even he would need over 250 years of standard training to achieve that. Because there was no reliable way to extend a person's life to 250 years, the tree diagram designer identified a different method, actual combat, to hasten ability growth. In other words, creating specific battlefields and letting battles play out in a controlled way to guide the escalation of his power. According to the tree diagram designer's calculations, if they set up 128 battlefields on which they would kill Railgun, Mikoto Misaka, 128 times, Accelerator would be able to evolve into Shift. But there was only one Railgun. That was when they refocused on the sisters produced under the concurrent Railgun mass production plan. Because each sister only possessed about 1% of the original's power. Roughly level 2. Calculations indicated that preparing 20,000 battlefields and 20,000 sisters would yield the same result. If the Railgun mass production plan was merely terrifying, then the Absolute Power Evolution, Level 6 Shift, was outright cruel. Shiba Miyuki, oh my goodness. Killing 20,000 sisters. Even if they're clones, they're still human beings. Bujuja Misako, they see these 180,000 yen clones as tools, or expendables. Iragi Shinoa, these people truly are beyond saving. Kato Megumi, Mikoto, are you alright? Mikoto Misaka. Alright? Far from it. Ugh. Just imagining how 20,000 sisters were going to be slaughtered made Mikoto Misaka fall to her knees and retch. It was all her fault. If she hadn't provided her DNA map, they never would have been born doomed to die. I'm a monster. In that moment, Mikoto Misaka saw herself as an accomplice, loathing her own existence. Chapter 286, Magic God Rao, Misaka Mikoto. Seeing that Misaka Mikoto remains silent, Rao takes the initiative to mention her again. Rao, I know you might hate yourself right now and resent those researchers, maybe even want to take action to destroy the experiment. Misaka Mikoto's gaze grows grim. She really is thinking that way. She plans to hack into the network, find the location of the research labs, destroy them one by one, and completely halt that damned experiment. Rao, but I hope you won't act rashly. Misaka Mikoto, why? Rao, you're not a match for Accelerator. You can't stop the experiment from continuing, and you'd only put yourself in danger. Misaka Mikoto. That's a fact. But, Misaka Mikoto, what about you? If I strike a deal with you, you can defeat him, right? If it would stop this cursed experiment, Misaka Mikoto is willing to make a trade, even if it's that shameful trade where she grants the usage rights to her body. However, Rao does not meet her expectations. Rao, defeating Accelerator is easy, but the people involved behind the scenes are beyond what I can handle right now. Misaka Mikoto, what? Taru, how is that possible? Is there someone even Rao can't deal with? Aizawa Shizu, stronger than a demon king. I can't imagine that. Rao, in truth, Misaka Mikoto's world doesn't only have espers. Or rather, even espers are rooted in another system. Namely magic. Misaka Mikoto? What is magic? Are scientific espers built on top of magic? Misaka Mikoto has no clue. Rao, I won't go into detail. All you need to know is that in your world, there's the science side led by Academy City, and there's also the magic side led by the Magic Church. Rao, in your world, the most powerful existences aren't the level 5 espers, but rather magicians who have stepped into the realm of gods. Magicians who become magic gods. Life inevitably ends in death. Apples inevitably fall downward. 1 + 1 inevitably equals 2. And so on. Those are laws in this world that can never be changed. Yet the magic recorded in grimoires can break, restructure, and create any of these laws. 1 + 1 can become 3. An apple can fall upward. The dead can inevitably come back to life. Magicians who can achieve such feats are thus called magic gods. Magic god doesn't mean a deity from some demon world, rather, it's a magician who has fully mastered magic and stepped into a godlike realm, able to bend any law of existence at will. That is the ultimate form of a magician. Having fully mastered magic, and having elevated themselves through a special ritual to the domain of gods, magic gods can manipulate all rules. They can reverse an expanding cosmic galaxy, turn 1 + 1 into 3, stretch or shrink a meter in length, increase or decrease a gram in weight, and so on. They can freely control life and death, command all elements of the world, and casually manipulate time, space, and dimensions. Creating or destroying all things is just a single thought to a magic god. They can destroy the world and then recreate it, removing anything unnecessary from ever existing in the first place. This kind of thing is trivial to them. They can erase an enemy's consciousness or reason to fight, making it nearly impossible to encounter an actual adversary. In other words, the only possible enemies for a magic god are other magic gods. There's only one world. Warping that world or fighting for its limited resources would require a magic god. Only another magic god can serve as that god's enemy. One could say that in that world they possess unlimited power, enough to overturn all laws. For them, the world is fragile as glass. You could say that should they descend, they would shred the universe by throwing its phases into disarray. To keep the world from being randomly affected, magic gods reside in a hidden world dimension, separating themselves from reality. That hidden world doesn't exist within the real world. Distance and time have no meaning there. Even a layer of thin skin of distance is infinitely far. Even a strand of hair's breadth of separation is an endless distance. The magic god's power cannot be interpreted by the world, it fundamentally exceeds the limits that the world can allow. If they casually step out from the hidden world, the world would shatter like glass. For a magic god to descend from the hidden world into the real world, they must infinitely partition their own boundless power, dividing it into something small enough for the world to barely accommodate, then overlay that infinitely. But no matter how many times they weaken themselves, magic gods still hold enough power to crush the entire world. That's the explanation Rayao, based on what he knows, gives everyone about magic gods. As for what magic gods are truly like, he doesn't know. Perhaps only by personally visiting Misaka Mikoto's world could he find out. Sui, a magic god. That sounds frighteningly powerful. Yukino Shita Yukino, I think it goes beyond frightening. Being able to affect the laws of the universe. That's completely incomprehensible. Iragi Shinoa, no wonder Rayao is being so cautious. Sakura Jimamai, so Misaka Mikoto's situation is also connected to these incredibly powerful magic gods? Yatsuya Maiko, that would be too despair-inducing. Misaka Mikoto. She truly is in despair. Her eyes lose focus. She's never seen a magic god, but just from Rayao's description, she's already feeling powerless. Still, what he says next kindles a glimmer of hope. Rayao, these two plans have nothing to do with the magic gods. Stella, then why scare people? Look, Misaka Mikoto is too terrified to speak. Rayao, I wasn't really trying to scare you. Just giving you some info on magic gods. Rayao, and it's not entirely unrelated. The real mastermind behind these two plans is someone aiming to challenge the magic gods, the pinnacle of human magicians. Stella? Can't you just explain things all at once? What difference does that even make? Bujuja Misako, in short, the people behind all of this are so formidable that even Rayao doesn't have total confidence in handling them. Megumi Kato, given that, Misaka Mikoto. Mikoto, it's best if you follow Rayao's advice and don't act recklessly. Misaka Mikoto, but the Misaka sisters will die. If she does nothing, then the sisters will die. She clenches her teeth at her own powerlessness. Unknowingly, her fingernails have dug into her palms, drawing blood. Rayao, death isn't necessarily the end. Chapter 287, Friren's Trade. Is death not necessarily the end? Misaka Mikoto couldn't quite understand this statement from Rayao. Misaka Mikoto, when someone dies, isn't that the end? Aizawa Shizu, not necessarily. In our world, Rayao resurrected Rain-ne and Misery-ne. Yatsuya Maiko, resurrected? Friren, I recall seeing on the live feed that Rayao brought two souls back to life. Rayao, in Shizu's world, I was able to resurrect the deceased, which at least proves that bringing someone back to life is possible. Rayao, that's why I hope you can calm down, Mikoto. Rayao, of course, this is just my advice, whether you choose to listen is up to you. Megumi Kato, Mikoto, you should do as Rayao says and not act recklessly. Hearing his words, Misaka Mikoto indeed felt a resurgence of hope. If in the future she really could bring her deceased sisters back, she would do it even if it cost her everything, as a way to make amends for her mistakes. Misaka Mikoto, I understand. I won't act rashly. Misaka Mikoto stood up and wiped away her tears. Although she decided not to risk her life recklessly, she still needed to investigate what exactly had happened. She took one last long look at the spot where the Misaka's sister had disappeared, then turned and left. In the chat group, Yamagawa phew, thank goodness Mikoto listened to reason. Kasuga Hijiri, being able to stay rational in a situation like that is pretty amazing. Stella, sigh, but that academy she's in is just too terrifying. One scheme after another, all set up to ensnare Mikoto. Rao, there's no shortage of corruption and wickedness in this world, no matter where you go. Frieren, agreed. It's like the cunning, treacherous demons. Rao, hey, speaking of demons, I now have the power to take care of the demon race in your world, Frieren. Any thoughts? Frieren, huh? Having it brought up so suddenly, she was caught off guard for a second. But she only hesitated for that one moment. Ding. Frieren has initiated a trade request with you, trade content, make the demon race vanish from the world. Ding. Please choose the trade conditions. She immediately initiated the trade request right then and there. However, there was a small issue. Rao, friendly reminder, for now, your only trade option left is the right to use your body. Are you okay with that? Frieren, well, I don't really mind. And since it's you, I'm sure it'll be fine. As long as the demon race is wiped out, that's enough. Rao, as you wish. Very soon, ding. Trade has begun, trade partner, Frieren, trade content, make the demon race vanish from the world. Trade condition, right to use your body once, duration, 24 hours. Rao, everyone, if anyone wants to come along, just sign up. With me here, there won't be any danger. He sent this message out to all group members. Stella, is anyone really willing to go be a third wheel? She was quite displeased by that blatantly intimate trade. Shiba Miyuki, I'm curious about what another world is like. May I see it? Rao, no problem. Yatsuya Maiko, I'd love to go too, but I have classes. In the end, only 2 people signed up, one was Shiba Miyuki. The other was Tautatuka. Tautatuka, Rao, I'd like to go. I want to test my skills against the strong ones in another world. Stella, you're really going to be a third wheel? Kurogane Shizuku, who says she'll definitely be a third wheel. Maybe Tuka will fall for Rao, or Rao might win her over Tautatuka, eh? Rao, hey, come on then. Frieren, thinking about what might happen soon, felt some complicated emotions for the first time. Is doing that sort of thing really enjoyable? She was mostly just curious. Especially about those feelings lovers share. She didn't quite understand them. But when she thought of Rao, she couldn't help recalling that instant when, all of a sudden, the mountains were covered in blooming flowers as far as the eye could see. It was truly beautiful, and it made her happy. Frieren, we're here. Rao's voice pulled her out of her thoughts. There were now 3 more people in the room. Rao, who remained calm. Shiba Miyuki, who looked around curiously. And Tautatuka, who was blushing after Shizuku's teasing. So this is another world. Even the in-room feels so old-fashioned. Shiba Miyuki noticed that everything around them was made of wood, and there was no sign of electric lighting. This is just an inn's room. Frieren scratched her head and explained. Then she asked. So, what should we do? Rao, relaxed and unruffled, said, we'll go directly to the Demon King's castle. Demon King's castle. Located at the far northern end of the continent, in a place called End, it shares the same location as the Land of Damnations. Because of its far northern geography, the climate here is extremely cold. Yet it still looks rather imposing. The first thing Rao and the 3 others did upon arrival was to see the Demon King. Seated on the throne, the Demon King looked down at these sudden intruders, his scarlet eyes gleaming. You are. Unfortunately, before he could even finish his sentence, a flash of sword light emerged from thin air and obliterated him. Frieren stood there, stunned, watching the scene. The Demon King. Just died like that? It felt way too abrupt. What baffled her even more was how Rao walked up to the Demon King's throne. Wearing a frosty expression, he announced. All demons, return to the Demon King's castle within 1 day. His command echoed in the minds of every demon across the world. By claiming the Demon King's position in this world, he had become the demon race's absolute monarch. Rao's commands were absolute. In less than a single day, whether it was the previous Demon King's confidants, the 7 sages of destruction under the Demon King's banner, various demon generals, demon mages, or ordinary demons. They all gathered at the Demon King's castle. Inside the throne room, the Demon King's confidant, Schlacht, and the 7 sages of destruction knelt before Rao on the throne. All hail the Demon King. Even though the person on the throne was not their original Demon King, they still showed complete devotion. Such is the power of the position. With the manifestation of the Demon King's authority recognized by the world, Rao had now become the true Demon King of that world. Chapter 288, Amuse Me. Ding. Frieren has started her live stream, seated on one side of the throne and looking at the demons kneeling below. Frieren was barely holding back the urge to blast them with magic. At the urging of viewers in the chat, she began the live broadcast. Stella, where are the demons? Frieren, they're right in front of me, kneeling. Stella, huh? Aren't they human? Yukino Shita Yukino, they do look extremely similar to humans, but judging from their eyes and what might be ornamental horns, they're probably not human. Frieren, many demons have deceptive appearances that mimic humans. Taru, it's not hard to imagine such biological diversity, but why are they kneeling to Rao? Aren't you all planning to exterminate the demon race? Shiba Miyuki, well, we're all rather curious about that, too. Shiba Miyuki, probably because Rao brought us to this Demon King's castle, killed the Demon King, and became the new Demon King. Something like that. Sakura Jimai? Iragi Shinoa, that's so like him. Kato Megumi, this certainly seems like something Rao would find amusing. Bujuja Misako, so, does Rao plan on wiping them out here? Rao, of course it's not that simple. He glanced at Tautatuka. You want to fight the strong ones here? That's right, Tautatuka replied, eyes burning with anticipation. She could already sense the powerful aura emanating from these demons. The 7 among them, known collectively as the 7 Sages of Destructions, did possess something formidable. Their levels ranged from about 20 to 25. In that case, let's put them to good use. You lot. Have a match with her, Rao ordered. Schlacht and the 7 Sages of Destructions glanced at one another. Among them, the demon matched, nicknamed the Matched of the Golden Land, voiced his doubts, my lord, Demon King, but they are humans. The other 7 Sages of Destructions also showed killing intent in their eyes. After all, in this world, no intelligent creature wasn't an enemy or prey to demons. Rao merely cast him a sidelong glance without saying a word. Then he raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Boom. Flames erupted along the walls, burning the top of the castle to ashes. With the view no longer obstructed, the Demon King's castle in its entirety lay visible from this high vantage point. Demons packed every inch of the castle. They, too, saw Rao. We greet the Demon King. Their first reaction was the same as that of the 7 Sages of Destructions. They respectfully knelt, their voices booming so loudly they shook the air. Yet Rao felt nothing. He had no intention of actually becoming this world's lowly Demon King. He stood up, swept his gaze over the demons, and said coldly, all demons who pledge loyalty to me commit suicide. At that, Schlacht and the 7 Sages of Destructions exchanged puzzled looks. The demons commanded to take their own lives were even more at a loss. None of them obeyed, because a demon's instinct is to survive by any means necessary. How could they possibly kill themselves, even under the Demon King's orders? As expected, demons in this world have no such thing as absolute loyalty, Rao remarked with disappointment, shaking his head. So be it, just die, then. Snap. With another snap of his fingers. Boom. A tidal wave of flame swept across every demon except Schlacht and the 7 Sages of Destructions. They were burned in an instant without even the chance to scream, becoming fleeting fireworks within the Demon King's castle. In just a moment, where once there had been a massive crowd in the castle, nothing remained. The 7 Sages of Destructions were dumbstruck, and even Shiba Miyuki and Tautatuka looked on in shock. So many demons died in a single instant. It was inconceivable. Especially since many of them looked human. Shiba Miyuki gazed at Rao with a profound sense of awe. Frieren, on the other hand, felt more surprise than horror. And then joy. Wiping out so many demons at once thrilled her. Before, she had to pretend to be weak to lure out clever demons just to kill them. It was so time-consuming that new demons were born faster than she could eliminate them. My Lord Demon King. At this point, Schlacht and the 7 Sages of Destructions realized something was terribly wrong. The Demon King was rebelling against them. All of them instinctively prepared to run for their lives. The death of their comrades did not sadden them. As demons, they had little empathy. Only the desire to survive at all costs. However, an overwhelming ocean of magical power descended upon them. Ugh! All 8 demons froze in place, staring at Rao in horror. His bottomless magical power far surpassed that of the former Demon King. Where in the world had this Demon King come from? One of them, a pink-haired female demon with 2 horns on her head and keen sensitivity to magical energy, was so overwhelmed that she collapsed, trembling. A trickle of fluid spread beneath her where she had lost control in fear. I never said you could leave, Rao remarked. Pointing to the weakest among the 7 Sages of Destructions, the level 20 demon, he said coldly. You can start by having a match with her. Amuse me, and perhaps I'll spare you. Tautuka stepped forward, drawing her long blade. Come. The 7 sages of destructions realized they couldn't escape. The chosen demon charged Tautuka at once. The rest stood aside, having given up on fleeing. In their hearts, they hoped the one currently fighting would be killed, thus giving them a chance to take the stage and earn some slim chance of survival. At that moment, Friaren tugged on Rao's sleeve and asked, "You're not really going to let them live, are you?" She was already gripping her staff. Exterminating these few demons would effectively eradicate the demon race. She didn't want to lose this perfect opportunity. Rao patted her hand to calm her. Spare them. It's not impossible. But unfortunately for them, it wasn't their performance in battle he cared about. That was only for Tautuka's sake. He had no interest in watching a pointless fight. If anything, he'd rather enjoy a bit of beauty. Like that demon woman who just wet herself in fear. Even now, she kept throwing timid glances Rao's way, her eyes filled with indescribable terror. Meeting his gaze was like a small animal shrinking back in fright. Chapter 289, Pet, Trade complete. Now on to the best part. Compared to other demons, the female demon, with a decent appearance and figure, plus her fearful demeanor, actually made Rao even more interested. You, come here. The female demon who was called out trembled. Under everyone's gaze, she had no choice but to brace herself and walk step by step to Rao. The moment she arrived, she knelt and lowered her head. Your Majesty the Demon King. Don't kill me. I can do anything. Even witnessing this Demon King slaughter countless demons hadn't frightened her before. But the vast, boundless mana, like an ocean with no shore, suddenly made this emotionless demon experience true fear for the first time. Because her magic specialty is tied to mana, her sensitivity to mana far surpasses that of other demons. Only she could deeply realize just how terrifying Rao's presence was. Even the former Demon King seemed as insignificant as an ant before him. Raise your head, Rao said calmly. The female demon quickly obeyed. Then she saw the Demon King she instinctively feared place his hand on her horn, sliding downward until finally resting on her cheek. Introduce yourself. I am Aura, one of the 7 sages of destruction directly under the Demon King, titled Aura the Guillotine. My specialty is Zerlise. Aura revealed everything about herself without reservation. Rao was very satisfied. This Aura was indeed the one he remembered. Someone who liked to play the violin. Zerlise uses and scales of obedience to place her soul and her opponent's soul on 2 sides of the scale. Whichever side has greater mana forces the other side into submission. So it seems you really like controlling others? Aura dared not speak. I'll give you a chance to live. How about becoming my pet from now on? Hearing that she could live, Aura hardly hesitated. She lifted her clothing, revealing her belly. Much like an animal exposing its stomach in surrender. I want to live. Whether she was a servant of the Demon King or his pet didn't seem all that different. Aura promptly chose submission. I like your decisiveness. Under the curious gazes of Friaren and Shiba Miyuki, Rao lightly touched Aura's abdomen with his finger. The moment it made contact, her smooth skin recoiled sensitively. Then, on that fair skin, a red, seductive, heart-shaped pattern gradually appeared. Yatsuya Maiko, I feel like I just saw something done unwholesome. Taru, isn't it just a magic seal? Why call it unwholesome? Kato Megumi, she's probably talking about the shape and location of that seal. Bujujimisuko, in our world, that's an erotic mark. Yamagawa erotic? How do you use it? Iragi Shinoa, you don't really use it. It just stays there. Maybe when you guys are plowing, it'll prompt Rao to go all out. Yukino shita Yukino? Suai, your explanation sounds so strange. Iragi Shinoa, it's easy enough to understand, isn't it? Izawa Shizu, it's weird, yes, but I do get what you mean. Akam, so Rao has taken a slave, right? Yatsuya Maiko, huh? Kasugano Saki. What Akam said is even weirder. Seeing the chat group messages, Friaren asked in confusion. Aren't you going to finish her off? No need. She has to obey me now. Keeping her as a pet is fine, and I also want to see how the chat group treats a demon who has submitted to me but can't be brought along. Rao truly did reach out and pet Aura's head, as though she were just a pet. Currently, although the chat group can travel across worlds, he can't bring living people back with him. This time's deal was to make demons disappear from this world. So he wanted to see how Aura's case would be handled. Since Rao said it was alright, Friaren didn't say anything more. Regardless, the day's harvest was already huge, the Demon King was dead, and countless demons had been eliminated. If she had tried it alone, she had no idea how far she could have gotten. Likely never to this extent. Rao was in an especially good mood at having picked up a pet. Aura, too, seemed eager to please, actually licking his fingers like a dog. That scene made Shiba Miyuki blush deeply. Aura's expression and the movements of her tongue were just too suggestive. After a while, Tautatuka transformed into a bolt of lightning and slashed the opposing demon, which couldn't react in time, in half. Ha. She herself was panting. Demons were far more troublesome than any human she'd dueled before, because each of their attacks had been aimed at her vulnerabilities, trying to kill her in one blow. In most duels, one fights to win, not to kill. This was a rare instance where Tautatuka genuinely fought to kill her opponent. This is as far as you go, Tuka. That's enough. Although Tautatuka wanted to push further, her stamina was at its limit. Wait. Just then, the other demons sensed danger. Their faces changed drastically. Especially when they saw Rao's playful smile. An omen that their deaths were imminent. No, Demon King, we surrender. They tried to stop the coming slaughter. But Rao gave them no chance. Sorry, but I only need one pet. Crack. As soon as he finished speaking, Shiba Miyuki felt a chill sweep through her skin, penetrating her flesh and all the way to her soul. When she looked over again, only 6 lifelike ice sculptures remained, their faces twisted in terror. Crack. A moment later, those ice sculptures shattered. Demons and all. Into nothing but shards of ice. Seeing that, Aura's entire body quivered violently. As a demon, she had never experienced such fear. After destroying the last of those higher-ranking demons, Rao waited in silence. Before long, the chat group chimed, ding. Trade complete. At that, Rao finally smiled. Looks like the chat group classified my pet as my property. Phew. Upon seeing the notification, Frieren also let out a breath, as though a huge weight had been lifted from her heart. Now there shouldn't be any demons left in this world besides her. Having accomplished the greatest goal of her life, she felt a hint of confusion at what to do next. Yet Rao's next words left her momentarily speechless. Well then, it's time for the final step of our deal. Shall we do it here in the castle? Frieren, whose hand he had already taken, blinked her clear eyes and said softly. At least it's not outside. Chapter 290, like a blooming flower inside the Demon King's castle. Rao's appreciative gaze swept across every inch of Frieren's bare skin. Under such a heated stare, Frieren could only tilt her head slightly. Is there something on me? She didn't have any strong sense of shyness or embarrassment. No, I'm just marveling at how perfect an elf you are, Frieren. This old thing is simply too cute. I want it. Frieren blinked her clear, wide eyes. But there's a lot I don't understand. For example, can it really fit inside? She pointed toward Rao's position. Only upon seeing it with her own eyes did she realize just how daunting it was. That seems like the only way to describe it. Rao looked at Frieren's body, white like a snow, and after pinching his chin thoughtfully, he said, You truly have no experience in this area, so I'll have Aura give you a little demonstration. Aura. Yes, Master. Aura came right over, obediently. She didn't understand anything either, but as a well-trained pet, letting him do as he wished was enough. Before long, Frieren wore a shocked expression. So it really can go in? Outside the castle. Shiba Miyuki and Tautatuka stood alone in an open area. Both looked a bit at ease. Just moments ago, Rao had gone into the Demon King's castle with Frieren and Aura and hadn't emerged since. They had been in the chat group long enough to know exactly what Rao and Frieren intended to do. Even imagining it left Shiba Miyuki and Tautatuka feeling extremely bashful. And so an awkward silence stretched on. After a while, Shiba Miyuki reached up with slender fingers to brush aside the wind-tossed strands of hair on her flushed cheeks. She felt that letting the awkwardness continue would be bad. So she spoke up, Tautatuka-san, would you care for a little sparring match? Huh? Tautatuka blinked in surprise. She looked at Miyuki questioningly. Seeing that the other party was serious, she knew how to respond. Sure, let's do it. How does it feel, Frieren? I don't really know how to describe it. It's probably the first time I've had such a strange sensation. No wonder, when I watched Iam and the others during the live stream, their expressions were so over the top. Leaning against Rao's shoulder, Frieren was experiencing for the first time that feeling of every cell in her body cheering. She also understood why that so-called plowing is actually such an exhausting activity to watch. But there was something on her mind. Looking at Aura, who was diligently cleaning the battlefield ahead, she asked curiously. Rao, what kind of expression was I making just now? You want to know? As he asked, Rao's lips gently brushed against one of Frieren's pointy ears. Elf ears really are enticing. Whether it's Sui's ears or Frieren's, he couldn't resist the urge to take them into his mouth. Friaren gently patted his arm. Still wrapped around her. Don't move around. My ears are very ticklish. Rayao stopped teasing her ear and chuckled. If you want to know what you looked like just now, check the chat group. Huh? Friaren opened the group chat, puzzled. Rayao, picture, Rayao, picture. He posted 2 pictures, each showing Friaren's face. But Stella? What's this? What happened to Friaren? Mabel, wow. She's rolling her eyes and sticking out her tongue? Is she about to die? Yamagawa Iam. That expression looks so familiar. Everyone around Iam, Kajika and the others, wore awkward expressions. How could it not look familiar? That was exactly how they looked during plowing. Everyone in the chat group who saw Friaren's photos felt like they were staring into a mirror. Yukino Shita Yukino. Why are you posting pictures like that of Friaren in the chat group anyway? She seemed baffled. Was this some kind of show-off? Rayao, it's nothing major. Friaren was curious about her expression a moment ago, and I just happened to save it, so I posted it. Friaren, it's true, just like Rayao said. Friaren, I never imagined I'd look like that. It's a lot like Hora's face, though hers is even more over the top. Why is that? Rayao, different sensitivity levels. Plus, I was pretty much going all out with her, while I was more gentle with you. Since she's a pet. Friaren, oh, I see. Yatsuya Maiko, are we really okay discussing this here in the chat? Kasuga Hajiri, wow, you're all so bold. Stella, Humphrey, this is nothing. Rayao once even live-streamed part of the group's plowing session. Set a bad example. Yamagawa I am, sorry, that time it really wasn't on purpose. Stella, right, the first time wasn't on purpose, but after that it definitely was. Bujuja Misako, in any case, since all of us in the group are basically from different worlds, it's natural that the conversation can be more open. If it bothers you, you can just not respond. You'll get used to it. Suai, indeed, I've already gotten used to it. Stella, huh, that's no surprise. Who knows how many times you've done it with Rayao? Suai. Yatsuya Maiko, I've done it with Rayao too. But I'll try my best to adapt. Yukino Shita Yukino. Some things don't necessarily require getting used to, you know. She felt a headache coming on. This chat group was getting weirder by the day. Yukino rubbed her temples. Not to mention everyone else. She herself had gone from outright disdaining that sort of thing to feeling a resigned indifference. She had no doubts Rayao would get up to even more outrageous stuff eventually. Friaren, by the way, when you all make that face, does it feel as amazing for you as it did for me? Toru, of course it does. Especially because it's with my darling. Even just a kiss feels wonderful. Bujuja Misako, it's the same for me and the others. That sense of climbing to the peak is addicting. Akam, Leon shakes all over and keeps saying, don't stop. That's one way to react. Suai, but the key is that it's with Rayao, the person I like most. Rayao, I like Suai, and everyone else, too. Stella, Humphrey. That's so sappy. Ugh. Seeing Rayao's confession, Kurogane Shizuku, who stood beside Stella, got so happy she practically glowed, which only annoyed Stella more. Friaren, the person you like most, huh? The memory of the sea of flowers he made bloom just for her that day resurfaced in her mind. The first time she'd felt her heartbeat in that strange rhythm was still fresh. And when she connected with Rayao just now, that same heartbeat came again. Chapter 291, finished, returning. Friaren closed the chat group. PFFT. She couldn't hold back and let out a laugh. I didn't expect my expression to be so strange. Well, mainly it's just that the feeling of comfort and stimulation was really peculiar. She turned to look at Rayao. Appearing very straightforward, she said. But it seems I'm the only one who felt that way. Rayao, you don't look as satisfied as Siko and the others described. Is that my problem? These are minor matters, after all, a deal is just a one-time or two-time thing. Rayao was still quite the rule-abiding type. Is that so? Friaren narrowed her eyes, slightly squinting them, and revealed a hilariously sly smile. Then she said, if there's no deal, does that mean we can't do it anymore? Although that smile looked stiff and a bit strange, Rayao actually found this old elf very cute. Especially after hearing her words, his heart stirred. Huh? Aura, who was working hard nearby, suddenly noticed something odd. Right beside her, where she had left a small patch of water, flowers had started to grow. She looked up. She discovered that the entire room was blossoming with vibrant flowers. And then she saw Rayao casually pluck one of those flowers, deftly weave it into a wreath with one hand, and gently place it on Friaren's head. Immediately afterward, he took Friaren's hands in his own. With deep feeling, he said, Frieren, I want to have you. Frieren was stunned for quite a while. Then, in a low voice, she muttered. Technically speaking, this is supposed to be the confession scene, right? Saying you want to have me is a strange way to put it. Rao just smiled. I feel like a normal confession doesn't really suit someone as broad-hearted as me. Rather than confessing, having you become mine seems more genuine. As expected of you. In Frieren's eyes, he had always been someone direct about his desires. Among the members of the chat group, Rao was recognized by everyone as a man whose outward behavior matched his inner thoughts. So then, Frieren, tell me your answer. I'm an elf, so about human emotions. They're complicated. I'm not really sure how to say it, so I guess I want to refuse, right? Frieren showed a distressed expression, as though she didn't know how to respond and was about to refuse him. But very quickly, her tone shifted and she revealed a meaningful smile. She gave a mischievous wink. However, when we did that, I was really happy. That experience is something I still want. So, can we do it even without a trade in place from now on? She answered in a rather playful manner. Rao had his answer. His response was equally simple. He took back the charger from Or's hands, gave Frieren a wicked grin, and said, Of course there's no problem. If you feel like getting plowed, there's no way I'd refuse. Meanwhile, at First High School, affiliated with the National Magic University, Tatsuya Shiba walked into the student council office with a grim expression. He came to see the person he wanted to see, the student council president. Mayumi Segusa. She had lustrous black hair that was finely curled, a petite yet shapely figure, and overall was perfect in nearly every aspect. Her perfection also extended to her innate abilities. Like Miyuki, she too had been admitted to First High at the very top of her class. She was known as a prodigy in the field of long-range precision shooting magic. Said to be the first in 10 years. This talent was considered well beyond high school level, earning her the nickname Elven Sniper. Moreover, her identity wasn't simple either. She was the eldest daughter of the Segusa family, one of the 10 master clans. Naturally, she also knew about Miyuki Shiba and Tatsuya Shiba, of the Yotsuba family. Tatsuya Shiba, may I ask? Initially, she intended to politely inquire about his reason for coming. But he strode forward, carrying a cold, razor-sharp aura, and demanded in a low voice. Miyuki Shiba, my sister. Where is she? It wasn't strange that he sounded somewhat angry. After all, his mission in coming to this school was to protect his sister. Yet he had searched the entire campus and still hadn't found her. He'd asked classmates from the same class, and none of them knew anything, either. Realizing that Miyuki Shiba might be in trouble, he decided to come to the student council. Since he couldn't find any leads on his own, enlisting the student council's help was the fastest way to get some information. Mayumi Segusa paused in surprise, cut off mid-sentence. She scrutinized Tatsuya Shiba with her gaze. May I ask why you're searching for Miyuki Shiba? She's gone missing, Tatsuya Shiba answered icily. Mayumi Segusa merely smiled faintly and said nothing more. She calmly retrieved a slip of paper and handed it to him. Tatsuya Shiba took the slip and looked at it. It was a leave of absence form. Miyuki Shiba had officially requested a day off from school. In other words, she wasn't missing, she'd simply taken a leave of her own accord. Tatsuya Shiba returned the form. Mayumi Segusa, wearing a professional smile, asked. Tatsuya Shiba, do you have any other questions? No. He nodded lightly, then turned and left. Only after the student council office door closed did Mayumi Segusa drop her polite smile. Her impression of Tatsuya Shiba plummeted. Looking at Miyuki Shiba's leave of absence note, she sighed inwardly. They're both cold, but one is a cool sort of coldness, and the other is just cold. She disliked Tatsuya Shiba's eyes. It was as if nothing in this world could enter his gaze. Name, Frieren, level, 35, abilities, Nature Spirit, Elf Magic, Rao's Blessing, Inherent Device, Nature Mage, Possessions, Staff. As a reward for Frieren becoming his, Rao gave her his blessings. Frieren's innate gifts were no joke. With the power of this protection, she awakened her Nature Spirit bloodline ability. That is an innate power to control all elements of nature. Under the influence of that power, her vast magical energy now had even greater outlets. She immediately jumped 4 levels. At present, she was probably unmatched in this world. After who knows how many times Miyuki Shiba had crossed swords with Tukatatu. Rao finally led Frieren and Aura out of the castle. Both sides exchanged glances and stopped simultaneously. Looking rather awkward, they walked over to her. Frieren, what do you plan to do next? I'm planning to return to the Elven clan for a bit. After all, the matter with the Demon King and the demon race isn't trivial. I'll leave my pet with you for now. She'll be very obedient to you. Rao was referring to Aura. Alright. Well, we're heading back then. See you next time. See you next time. Rao took Miyuki, Shiba and Tuketautu and returned to their original world. Chapter 292, Shiba Miyuki gazed at the dormitory she was leaving and suddenly felt both mind and body relax. Crossing between worlds. Truly a wondrous experience. Inside the chat group, Rao, Shiba Miyuki, Tuka, have you both returned safely? Seeing Rao's question, Shiba Miyuki quickly replied, Shiba Miyuki, yes, I've already made it back to the dorm. Tuka, I'm back at the academy as well. Rao, alright. After replying to Rao, Shiba Miyuki was still savoring the experience of traveling to a different world. She especially could not forget the sight of Rao slaughtering countless demons without so much as blinking. An event forever etched in her memory, since she herself had never taken a human life. While sparring with Tuka, she had asked how Tuka viewed it. The other girl's attitude was straightforward, since they were enemies, there was no need for mercy. Rao did nothing wrong. After hearing from Friar and what the demon race truly was, Shiba Miyuki had no objections to that reasoning. Even so, it was difficult to get used to such a sight right away, it would take time. Phew. Letting out a deep breath, she decided to take a good bath to relax. However, seeing a notification on her phone, she figured she should respond first. It was a message from Student Council President Segusamayumi, sent not long ago. Segusamayumi, Shiba Miyuki, if you see this message, please reply. Shiba Miyuki, President, I just got back to the dorm and saw your message. Segusamayumi, ah, thank goodness. You hadn't replied for a while, so even I was starting to think you were missing. Shiba Miyuki, huh? Someone thought I was missing? Segusamayumi, your brother did. Shiba Miyuki, brother? Shiba Miyuki was full of questions, since when did she have a brother? Her memories were clear. She had lived in a mansion with her mother since she was little. Even if she saw her father, he would just tell her to go back to the Yotsuba family home and never truly come back. Where would a brother fit in? Segusamayumi, it's Shiba Tatsuya. Shiba Miyuki, huh? I don't recall ever having an older brother named Shiba Tatsuya. Segusamayumi, eh? Reading Miyuki's answer, Mayumi was dumbfounded. Shiba Miyuki doesn't know she has a brother? Segusamayumi, but from what my family heard, Shiba Tatsuya is your biological older brother. Almost every major faction is aware of this. Shiba Miyuki. Her expression darkened. It felt like something strange was afoot in her family. She quickly called the person she trusted most. Her mother. The call was picked up right away. Yes, Miyuki? Why call Mama all of a sudden? On the other end was a voice cool yet still gentle, Shibamiya, Miyuki's mother. Note, different from the original storyline, don't worry, this is purely a pair of twin sisters, Miyuki asked directly. Mom, do you know someone named Shiba Tatsuya? Silence answered her at first. Mom? Yes, I heard you. That apostrophe s. Your older brother? Although her mother said so, Miyuki could sense something off in her tone. Mom, what exactly is going on? Is this some arrangement by the family? Miyuki. Mia's voice weakened. Cough 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 cough. Just as she was about to explain, Shiba Mia began to cough violently. Mom? Miyuki's body tensed. She knew her mother's health had never been good. Only after a while did the coughing subside. I'm fine, Miyuki. You need only know that he is your brother. As for what you think of him, Mama will always support whatever you decide. Mom. Warmth filled Miyuki's heart. She was now fairly certain that Tatsuya had been sent by the Yotsuba family, but her mother was still on her side. Miyuki, Mama is going to freshen up, so let's leave it at that. Alright. She hung up, and Miyuki's eyes turned sharp. Humphrey. Not just anyone can be qualified to call himself my brother. At the very least. He had better be as powerful as Rao. Once the call ended, over at the Yotsuba household, in one of its residences, a cool-looking woman with long black hair set down her phone and looked at a small puddle of crimson in her hand, fresh blood she had just coughed up. Shibamiya's eyes gleamed a faint green. It seems my time is short. She knew her own body well. No one would have guessed that Shibamiya, feared as the ruler of the River of Oblivion, the only magician in the Yotsuba family of the 10 master clans who possessed the taboo outer systematic type magic mental design interference, was already at death's door. She could accept her own death, but she could not rest easy regarding her daughter, Shiba Miyuki. Especially in a world full of self-interest and plotting, where Miyuki's enormous talent would inevitably place her in the center of the storm. The Yotsuba family. Was not to be trusted. Even her younger sister, Yotsuba Maya, the current head of the family, could not protect her fully, for the family was not run by the clan head alone. Old-timers with their own agendas still acted freely despite her sister's suppression. Without a doubt, Shiba Tatsuya's appearance was the result of a compromise she had been forced to make. Once she was gone, who would protect Miyuki? Shibuya worried over that. Cough cough cough. Another round of violent coughing. Sis. A voice called out. She turned to see a woman who looked much like herself. Her twin sister, Yotsuba Maya. Maya? Yotsuba Maya had came to deliver some news but froze in alarm at Shibuya's exhausted state, the blood in her mouth and on her hand. Rushing over, she asked anxiously, Sis, what's happening to you? Maya, I may not have much time left. Shibuya's voice was calm and matter-of-fact, but Yotsuba Maya felt as if lightning had struck. She stood there stunned, terrified. Sis, no. Come on, I'm taking you to the hospital right now. Yet Shibuya stopped her. Maya, there's no point. I know my own condition. In the time I have left, let me depart this world quietly. Don't say anything to Miyuki. All right. Holding her sister's hand, Yotsuba Maya bit her lip in pained silence, nodding because she knew Shibuya's current state was all because of her. Meanwhile, Miyuki, remembering how badly her mother had coughed, could not shake her worries. I'll go back to see her this weekend, she decided, thinking she missed her mother anyway. Chapter 293, Anti-R18 Alliance vs Must Be Lewd Alliance. Rao had just returned home. He immediately saw Mai, Toru, Futaba, Sora, and Ilya. 5 people all freshly washed, soft and sweet-smelling. Gathered on the living room sofa watching TV. Rao, the most excited to see him back were Sora and Ilya. Mai, on the other hand, caught sight of the smile at the corner of Rao's mouth and spat in exasperation. Don't tell me you're feeling all pleased with yourself after fooling around big time with that gorgeous elf Frieren? Mai, what kind of person do you take me for? Rao stowed away his smile and walked over. Seeing him about to sit in the middle of them, everyone scooched over a bit to make room. Still, Mai didn't hold back. I've always firmly believed you're a pervert. Futaba nodded quietly to herself. Hey, I won't deny that, Rao said with a smile as he sat down, pulling Sora and Ilian onto his lap. He then casually rested his arm across the 3 of them. But the smile I had earlier was just because I felt relieved seeing how well you're all getting along. Mai eyed him suspiciously. So why do I feel there was a certain dirty secret in that grin of yours just now? Rao suddenly put on a strange expression. Oh? You noticed? He sighed. Well, I was just thinking, since you all have such a good relationship now, maybe one of these days we could find some time to try sleeping together under one big blanket. Have a party or something. Huh? Mai froze. This guy's brain really only thinks about that sort of thing. But what shocked her even more was the reaction from Sora and the others. Toru was the first to voice support. Darling, I have no problem with that at all. If it's what you want, I'm in. She was practically batting her eyes so flirtatiously it was as if silk threads were trailing behind them. Sora and Ilya also chimed in enthusiastically. We're fine with it too. You could say their reactions might be explained by the fact that they're not human. That left only Mai and Futaba. In truth, Mai had already done it together with Toru, Sora, and Ilya once before. But Futaba. Facing this classmate, Mai felt a kind of embarrassment she couldn't quite convey to a normal person. She couldn't help glancing toward Futaba. The other girl's face was flushed, her heartbeat racing, as she mumbled shyly. If it's with Rao-kun, I can do it too. Mai knew it was over. Everyone in the household had fallen for him. Under these circumstances, even if she tried to stand firm, she'd probably just be the one tearing her hair out in the end. She could already imagine Rao and the others going at it like crazy without her, grinning at her frustration. Ugh. Mai was furious at herself for being so weak-willed. How did her body come to fit Rao's shape so completely that she simply couldn't do without him? Resigned, Mai saw Rao's smug, conniving look right then, and her anger flared up again. In the end, everything would go his way. And he really was the type to lick the peach or even smack it with his hand, apparently. She wasn't about to let him be so pleased with himself, so she abruptly brought up something else. Rao, I'm afraid I have some bad news for you. What is it? There's now an official anti-R18 alliance in the chat group, specifically targeting you. Huh? Rao blinked. Toru chimed in. That's right, Stella is the one leading it. Oh? He hadn't noticed at all, busy as he was doing something pleasant. So he opened the chat group to scroll through the messages. Sure enough, he discovered the anti-R18 alliance. It was started by Stella, everyone, for the sake of a wholesome, healthy, and refreshing chat environment, I've decided to do something big. Sakurajima Mai, I advise you not to start any trouble. Otherwise Rao might just ban you permanently or something. Stella, I'm not making trouble. I'm just thinking of everyone's good chat environment. Akam, What are you trying to do? Stella, ahem, I hereby announce the establishment of the Anti-R18 Alliance in our chat group. Stella, are you troubled by the frequent adult content in the chat? Do you feel ashamed? Do you feel at a loss? Stella, if so, come join my Anti-R18 Alliance and let's stand against those lewd discussions together, restoring our chat to a bright and clean place. Bujujimasuko. Yamagawa I am, sorry. I'm not really bothered. Sui, so strange. Is anyone really going to join? Mabel, I'll join. Stella, great. Anyone else? Misaka Mikoto, count me in. Though Reiao's recent massive revelations had shaken Mikoto, she still had to hold her ground somehow. She wasn't completely beaten, and she did have to keep tabs on various info. Yukino Shita Yukino, I support you as well. Shiba Miyuki, MMH, those R18 topics really are embarrassing. I'll join too. Stella, you see? This is what the people want. Reiao. What the people want? He certainly had a response. Reiao, I declare the founding of the Must Be Lewd Alliance, whose main principle is that we must talk about lewd things. Anyone want to join? Taru, me. Bujujimasuko, I'm in. That was a real call to arms. In mere moments, practically everyone except for a few who hadn't spoken. Reiao, 14-5. Who's really got the people's support? Besides, the other group chats are all backing me 100%, and I haven't even counted their votes yet. Stella. She was speechless. Then she turned to look at Kuroge and Shizuku. Shizuku just smiled sweetly, of course I'll support my beloved. Only at that point did Stella realize that unknowingly, Reiao had already won over more than 90% of the chat group. She lost. Lost completely and utterly. Stella, darn it. Reiao, haha, best to accept it. R18 content is the real engine driving discussion in this chat. Reiao, and I'm not one to spill your secrets, but every time you shout about banning lewd content, Stella, you're the loudest voice. Reiao, yet whenever I stream something R18 over here, you rush into the stream fastest. And you never leave until it's done. Reiao, don't tell me you're, like, watching the stream while you. Stella, why you are lying. I'd never do something like that. Having her secret exposed so openly, Stella's face flushed red as if running a fever, and she practically jumped around in distress. Everyone could see that Reiao had nailed it. Yukino Shita Yukino had a dark line on her forehead. So the ringleader who started this so-called revolution was actually a pervert. And just like that, right after it was created, the alliance scattered like dust. Reiao gave a casual, soft laugh. Ah, Stella-chan. You're still green. Chapter 294, Helpless. The room was unusually quiet. Satania maintained a healthy routine. When it was time to sleep, she would sleep well. Knock, knock. Just then, someone knocked on her bedroom door. Satania, I have something I want to talk to you about. May I come in? It was Vignette. Vin? Satania, puzzled, sat up and turned on the light. Come on in. Click. Vignette, wearing light purple pajamas and hugging a pillow, entered the room. Vin, why are you still up so late? What do you want to talk about? Satania was very curious. Vignette spoke hesitantly, somewhat embarrassed. I wanted to ask you something about Reiao. Eh? Sensei? Before long. Vignette and Satania lay together under the same blanket, whispering in the dark. Vignette had specifically asked Satania to turn off the light, or she wouldn't have been able to bring it up. In the darkness. Vignette asked. Satania, do you really know what you were doing with Reiao earlier? Sensei was teaching me to become a great demon. No, you two were kissing. Vignette couldn't help protesting. A kiss is something only people who like each other do. You can't just do it randomly. Satania, don't you think you were tricked? Silence filled the room. Vignette herself wasn't entirely sure what feelings drove her to try to make Satania see reason. Was it as a friend? Was it as a succubus? Or was there a faint hint of jealousy even she hadn't noticed? She didn't know. But she'd already said it, and there was no going back. Just when Vignette thought Satania might realize that Reiao had crossed a line with her, Satania spoke in a mosquito-sized voice. Vin, actually, I like Sensei, too. Huh? Vignette was taken aback. Satania shrank back, embarrassed. And Sensei's kisses feel so good. My body gets so happy. It's like. Vignette understood, because she could sense the intense warmth emanating from Satania's body and hear her rapid breathing. Then, Satania suddenly sat up. I'm going to the bathroom for a second. Wearing slippers, Satania hurried out of the room, looking extremely flustered. Vignette waited for a long while. But Satania didn't come back. Satania? Confused, Vignette got up, planning to see what was taking Satania so long. She stepped out of the room. She could faintly see light coming from the bathroom. But everything else was still unusually quiet, so she cautiously moved closer. When she was just a few steps away, Vignette heard a soft moaning sound. Peeking through the gap in the door, she saw Satania, eyes half-lidded, performing some sort of shameful ritual. Realizing what was happening, Vignette's face instantly flamed red. Satania was actually overcome by intense embarrassment. Vignette felt tingles all over, as if ants were crawling across her skin, and dashed back to the bedroom. In the end, she realized she'd just stuck her nose in where it didn't belong. But could it really feel that good? With Satania's muffled moans echoing faintly in her ears, Vignette found herself sinking into a deep fog of confusion. Maybe she shouldn't have come to Satania after all. Morning arrived. A new day didn't really lift Yukino's spirits. Especially after stepping out the door and seeing a haggard face. She noticed Mabel lying on the sofa, exhausted, her eyelids drooping. Yukino frowned slightly. "Mabel, were you up all night?" "Ugh. I didn't sleep at all," Mabel replied weakly. "Why didn't you sleep?" At this question, she let out a pitiful whimper, looking as if she might burst into tears at any second. I was scared Rayao would come and harass me." Only then did Yukino remember that Rayao had mentioned coming over last night. And he hadn't shown up. Maybe he'd forgotten. Boo-hoo. "I was so worried all night I couldn't sleep." Mabel began to cry. But Yukino noticed that beneath her translucent nightgown, Mabel was wearing some very revealing lingerie. Definitely something she wouldn't usually wear. If she was so scared, why wear something so suggestive? More like she was hoping Rayao would actually come by. Yukino felt she'd seen right through Mabel. Not wanting to dwell on it, Yukino went off to brush her teeth, get dressed, and head to school. Sure enough, she wasn't wrong. Mabel's emotions were tangled between fear of the pain from the first time and anticipation of that blissful, floating on clouds feeling that she couldn't forget. A little while later, all set to leave, Yukino saw that Mabel had fallen asleep on the sofa. She decided not to wake her and quietly prepared to leave. While changing her shoes at the entrance, she suddenly heard Mabel talking in her sleep. Rayao. Stop. That's not okay. Faster." Yukino froze for a moment, looking up to find Mabel's face flushed as she sleep-talked. With that expression, she could already guess what kind of dream Mabel was having. With a silent click of her tongue, Yukino didn't want more of this odd influence. She quickly slipped on her shoes, tiptoed out, and hurried away. But fate has its ways. The one person she didn't want to see was exactly the person she was most likely to run into. The moment Yukino stepped out, she ran into Rayao, who was leaving the next-door apartment at the same time. "Morning." Rayao greeted her first. Following behind him was Mai, who also nodded politely. "Good morning." Yukino had no choice but to return the greeting. "It's quite a coincidence we're both leaving now. Shall we head to school together?" Rayao asked casually. She couldn't find a reason to refuse such an ordinary invitation. "Sure." The three of them walked in silence. Yukino felt like a third wheel next to Rayao and Mai, who were holding hands. She wished they wouldn't speak to her until they reached school. Just a peaceful walk. Yet things rarely go as one wishes. Rayao, as if just remembering something, started talking. "I forgot to drop by and see Mabel last night." Of course, Yukino was well aware. "But," Rayao continued, "do you mind if I stop by your place tonight? I just want to make sure she's behaving properly." Yukino looked at Rayao for a good while and finally gave a resigned nod. "All right. Great, then it's settled." Chapter 295, Defeat, Yukino's Cooking. Late evening. Right on schedule, Fumino Furuashi, Rizuogata, and Mifagirasu arrived. Because of Rizuogata's previous disappearance, Mifagirasu had decided she had to keep a close eye on them. After all, if something really did happen one day, she, being the teacher in charge of their study group, wouldn't be able to bear the responsibility. However, compared to before, the two students were clearly much less focused on their studies today. Rizuogata had learned many things about Rayao from the group chat. If she hadn't personally visited another world herself, she would never have imagined that the scene from yesterday's livestream, like something straight out of a film, with people burning alive, really happened in that other world. Yet according to everyone in the group chat, those people were apparently man-eating demons. She also never would have imagined that the pleasant and easygoing Rayao right in front of her was capable of killing without batting an eye, like some sort of demon king straight out of a movie. So, seeing him now blending so normally into their environment gave her a sense of unreality. Rizuogata found herself a bit confused about which side was the real Rao. Was it the gentle and reliable one? The cold and cruel one? Or perhaps both? At the same time, Rizuogata had came to understand the true nature of the so-called trade in the group. Under her glasses, her gaze flickered toward Rao. She was grateful that he had taken the initiative to bring her back. If it really had been a simple exchange, then she probably had nothing to trade except her body itself. And thinking about that possibility, those shameful images in her mind, made Rizu's breathing grow erratic. Rizuogata was secretly observing Rao. Meanwhile, Fumino Furuashi was secretly observing Rizuogata. I knew it. Something is definitely going on between those two. Just look at how shy Rizu seemed, though Fumino was mostly imagining the lovey-dovey part. If someone told her those two had nothing going on, she simply wouldn't believe it. How can I stop this relationship from progressing any further? Fumino's eyes darted around, and then she thought of a way to hint at it indirectly. Ilya-sensei, I have a question for you. She raised her hand, interrupting Ilya's lecture. Go ahead, Ilya responded calmly, looking at her. Hey, I read an article yesterday about a group of close friends where one pair started dating. But suddenly, the boyfriend in that couple had an improper relationship with another girl. Don't you think that's a problem? That question also caught the attention of both Mafagirasu and Rizuogata. This was exactly the reaction Fumino was hoping for. And what does that have to do with our lesson? Asked Ilya, seeing no connection to either humanities or sciences. Haha, nothing really. I just happened to recall it and got curious. Fumino scratched the back of her head sheepishly. Ilya shook her head. I don't know, she said. Actually meaning she didn't particularly care. She simply didn't mind situations like that. With Rao, there were already many different people by his side. As far as she was concerned, all she needed to know was that everyone formed one big family. Mafagirasu, arms folded, said sternly. That's a form of betrayal. It's very wrong. You must not behave like that, understand? Don't worry, sensei, Fumino said with a laugh. I'd never do something like that. While speaking, Fumino subtly studied Rizu's expression. She was expecting to see some reaction. Maybe a guilty or embarrassed look. Yet, unexpectedly, Rizuogata not only showed no such expression, she even looked indignant. I think that sort of betrayal is quite excessive, Rizu declared openly, clearly disapproving. Does she really not get my hint? Fumino wondered, then decided to probe her further. Rizu, do you think there's a chance the boy and this third party might actually be true loves? At these words, Rizuogata considered it for a moment, then nodded. Fumino's eyes lit up with excitement. Did she figure it out? Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Rizu replied seriously. There's always a possibility that they're true loves. But it's still not fair to the first girl. If he doesn't like her, he should have made that clear from the start. No one should be two-timing like that. Then she tilted her head and asked innocently. Fumino, don't you think it's excessive? Fumino's mouth twitched. Of course I think it's excessive. She had been planning to subtly chastise Rizu, yet she wound up getting a lecture instead. Fumino's shoulders slumped. Ilya-sensei, please go on with the lesson. I've gotten my answer, she mumbled under her breath. Defeat. Hey. Rao, who had been listening the entire time, just smiled quietly. Ever since she had jumped out to oppose him over the stalking incident, he had suspected that Fumino might have the wrong idea. Now her behavior pretty much confirmed it. She really had misunderstood the situation between him and Rizu. After the three girls left, Rao didn't stay home for dinner. Instead, he went next door to Yukino's place. Seeing the simple yet well-prepared meal laid out on the table, complete with meat and vegetables, full of color and flavor, he began with casual small talk. Yukino, you're pretty good at cooking, aren't you? Good might be too much. I can only say I know how, Yukino replied politely. I hope you don't find it unappetizing. How could I? Rao said. It's obviously going to be delicious. At the mere thought of unappetizing, Mabel, who was right there, was the first to object. In her mind, Yukino's cooking was definitely the best she'd ever tasted. Just the sight, and smell, made her want to drool. She immediately picked up her chopsticks, ready to dive in. Smack. A sharp crack echoed. Wah. Mabel let out a pained squeak, shrinking back with a pitiful expression. It wasn't the pain that concerned her, she was more upset by the fact that Yukino had stopped her from eating. Under Yukino's cool gaze, Mabel heard her say frostily. Has no one taught you to wait for the guest to begin before you eat? Ugh. Mabel wilted, peeking at Rao for help with tearful eyes. Haha, in that case, I won't be shy, Rao said, picking up his own chopsticks so that Mabel wouldn't have to sit there suffering. Mabel brightened at once. Even so, she still didn't dare to move until Yukino gave a small nod. Then she happily launched herself into the meal, devouring it with gusto. Rei-ao watched the two of them interact with amusement. Suddenly, he said something that made Yukino freeze in place. If someone saw you two acting like this, they might mistake you for mother and daughter. Chapter 296, Messing Around, New Girl. Mother. Mother and daughter? Yukino was greatly puzzled by this phrase. How so? If you had to force a comparison, perhaps Yukino's cold and serious way of educating Mabel looked somewhat like that. Rei-ao voiced his thoughts from a third-person perspective. Exactly. Yukino is way too strict with me. Especially when she's angry, her face goes all cold, and it's scary. As if sensing someone who shared her sentiment, Mabel seized the chance to complain about Yukino. A cold mother. It was the first time Yukino had heard someone describe her that way. And it made her think of her own mother, who was distant and made her feel a certain reverence. She subconsciously glanced at Mabel. Did her mother feel the same way when looking at her or her sister? For the first time, Yukino began reflecting on her mother. After dinner, Rei-ao did not leave. Instead, he went to Mabel's room to ask if she had acted spoiled in any way while she was here. I'm not spoiled at all. Sitting on the edge of the bed, hugging a pillow, Mabel defiantly denied it. With someone as scary as Yukino around, how could I dare act spoiled? Humphrey. Really? Rei-ao didn't seem suspicious. He was just staying next door, so she wouldn't dare throw a tantrum anyway. Well, as long as you're behaving, that's fine. I'm heading back. Seeing Rei-ao truly stand up to leave, Mabel froze in place. Aren't you going to do it? She blurted out the question before she could stop herself. Do it? Rei-ao looked back at her, puzzled. Mabel, her face flushing red, buried her head in her pillow and mumbled. Aren't you a big pervert? Honestly, Rei-ao really had only come by to check on her. But now. Thump, thump, thump. Mabel's heart pounded violently in time with the sound of footsteps approaching. Until a pair of large hands landed on her shoulders, making her shiver. Leaning in close to her ear, Rei-ao spoke softly, so it looks like you really do want to, Mabel. Huh? I don't. Mabel refused to admit it. However, the moment she said so, Rei-ao pulled his hands back. All right. If you don't want to, I won't force you. He turned around, again preparing to leave. Huh? Leaving just like that? Mabel looked up in disbelief. Didn't everyone call Rei-ao a super pervert? Watching him actually open the door to step out, Mabel finally couldn't hold back and, pressing herself forward, shouted. I do want to. Idiot. Wow. In the next second, Rei-ao practically appeared in front of her in a single bound, pushing her down onto the bed. Gazing into her moist, fearful eyes, he grinned mischievously and tugged the pillow away from her body. Smirking, he said. Since you want it, I'll give you exactly that. Huh? While washing dishes, Yukino heard a banging noise. Curious, she looked back. After putting the dishes away and removing her apron, she walked out of the kitchen. Has Rei-ao gone home? She didn't see anyone in the living room. So she decided to look for Mabel. Reaching Mabel's room, she was about to knock on the door. When she froze on the spot. Because she overheard voices coming from inside. Rei-ao, what if Yukino? Control yourself. Huh? Exclamation mark. Yukino's eyes widened in shock. They're actually. For a moment, Yukino felt thunderstruck. She'd never imagined something like this would happen in her own home. Should she stop them? Her answer was no. Be it the awkwardness of the situation or her own intense sense of shame. Yukino drew her hand back. She stared at the door for a moment, then quietly returned to her own room and shut the door. But even in her room, she found no relief from her turmoil. Well into the early hours of the morning, the sleepless Yukino lay there staring at the ceiling, murmuring. Finally. It's over? Judging by the sounds, yes, it was. But that didn't mean Rei-ao was at his limit. He could have kept going without a problem. He'd only stopped because the chat group suddenly reacted. His attention shifted to it. He noticed a new member's name, which caught him off guard. Ding. BB Dong has joined the chat group. BB Dong? Is it that BB Dong? Does she count as a two-dimensional female too? Ding. Everything can be two-dimensional. The chat group is fair to all and definitely suits the host's preferences. Confronted with the chat group's response, Rei-ao could only say, wow. He checked BB Dong's personal info. Name, BB Dong, level 20, abilities, Martial Soul, Death Spider Emperor, Martial Soul, Soul Devouring Spider Emperor, possessions, Spirit Bones. From the looks of it, it was indeed the BB Dong from that romance brain continent he was imagining. Especially at that level. TSK. It fit perfectly with his idea of a rather underpowered fantasy world. Though he wasn't sure which period this Bibi Dong hailed from, the fact she possessed spirit bones meant she wasn't weak. But in the chat group's assessment, she only rated as level 20. Which showed just how frail that world's power system must be. Rao, Bibi Dong, welcome to the chat group. As usual, he offered a greeting. But there was no response. Fryron, oh, another newcomer, but it seems she's like an Ori and doesn't talk. In Ori. Aizawa Shizu, Rao, you're greeting the newcomer first thing. Haven't you gone to bed? Rao, no, I haven't. I was just messing around with Mabel. Aizawa Shizu, messing around? Fryron, what do you mean? Rao, hey, if you don't get it, never mind. They didn't understand. But one person did. That was Yukino Shita Yukino, who had never gone to sleep. The sound of messing around mingled in her head with the earlier barrage of noise she'd heard. Sure enough, Rao really was a pervert. Stella, I got woken up and thought something was happening. Going back to sleep now. Rao, Bibi Dong, I'm not sure if you see this, but if you need any help, just initiate a trade with me directly. Rao, that's the whole point of this chat group. The moment he said that, a message from the chat group popped up. Ding. Bibi Dong has sent you a trade request. Chapter 297, Bibi Dong's trade request. Bluo Continent. Spirit Hall's main city. Spirit City. Tonight, the moon is bright, with countless stars twinkling in the sky. As the Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong, born with twin spirits, has been summoned by her teacher. Her teacher is Keong Xunji, the current Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall. Responding to his summons, Bibi Dong proceeds toward the Supreme Pontiff's Hall within Spirit Hall. Spirit Hall's main city is called Spirit City. Built around a hill, it lies on the border between the Tanlao Empire and the Starred Empire, and neither empire holds sovereignty over it. Within Spirit City stand the Supreme Pontiff's Hall, the Dluo Hall, and the Elder Hall, symbolizing the highest authority of Spirit Hall. The most magnificent structures in all of the Dluo continent. And it is precisely because of the Supreme Pontiff's Hall that Spirit City has become a sacred land for all soul masters. Teacher. Upon seeing Keong Xunji in his papal robes, Bibi Dong greets him with the utmost respect. You've arrived. Looking at his disciple, a certain complexity flashes deep in Keong Xunji's eyes. Suddenly, the oppressive force of a rank 90 titled Bluo bursts out, leaving Bibi Dong gasping for air. Teacher? Clutching her chest, Bibi Dong looks in confusion at her approaching teacher. Donger, tell me. Have you been getting too close to that Yu Zhao gang of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan? Bibi Dong's expression changes drastically. Teacher, how did you find out? Humphrey. You thought you could hide your little moves from me? After a moment of heavy silence. And because she trusts and respects her teacher, Bibi Dong truthfully explains her view of Yu Zhao gang. It isn't love, but rather admiration for his vast knowledge. Note, this version has been modified. While she speaks, she fails to notice Keong Xunji's deepening fury. The moment he confirms this matter from her own words, Keong Xunji is nearly consumed by rage. Yet he suppresses his anger and speaks sternly. Do you understand your status? You are Spirit Hall's holy maiden, a genius born with twin spirits. And he, Yu Zhao gang, is nothing but a waste. He has no right to be near you. Teacher, he's not a waste. He is a master of theory, a genius of the theoretical arts. Bibi Dong tries to explain Yu Zhao gang's achievements in the study of spirits and soul masters. Yet hearing that only darkens Keong Xunji's face further. He's a genius? He seems to find the notion laughable. That man merely used Bibi Dong's access to Spirit Hall's library to plagiarize those theories. How is that any mastery? Snorting coldly, Keong Xunji says. In any case, I won't allow you to be with that piece of trash. No man is worthy of you. Not even to touch your hand. If Yu Zhao gang had actually laid a finger on you, he wouldn't be allowed within 1,000 miles of Spirit Hall. Keong Xunji all but issues a command. You are forbidden from any relationship with a man, especially anyone from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. You are never to leave Spirit Hall. Ever. What? In that instant, Bibi Dong feels as if thunder has struck. She staggers back. She never expected her teacher to think of her in such a way. Bibi Dong herself does not believe she has genuine romantic feelings for Yu Zhao gang, yet her teacher has leapt to these conclusions. She even notices in the depths of her teacher's eyes a possessiveness that only a man would show. Why is this happening? Bibi Dong cannot understand. But she knows staying here any longer could be dangerous. Teacher. I don't want to remain in Spirit City forever. If that's how things are, then I'm willing to give up being the Holy Maiden. What? Keong Xunji's features instantly contort. He thinks Bibi Dong is doing this for the sake of that useless Yu Zhao gang. Fury erupts from within him. He is the mighty supreme pontiff, yet she is willing to give up her high status. For a waste? Jealousy morphs into unconcealed greed. Dong apostrophe since you're being so ungrateful, don't blame me for being ruthless. He stretches his hand toward Bibi Dong. Sensing something wrong, Bibi Dong asks. Teacher, what are you doing? What am I doing? You just need to sleep for a bit. When you wake up, you'll be this supreme pontiff's woman. Everything will be fine then. A sinister smile that disgusts Bibi Dong emerges on Qiong Xunji's face. She attempts to run. But as someone who has only just reached Sold Luo rank, she is worlds apart from a titled Luo. His sheer pressure alone renders her immobile. All she can do is watch those large hands move ever closer. Donger, just sleep. No. I don't want to. Ding. You have joined the trading chat group. Rao, Bibi Dong, not sure if you can see this yet, but if you need help, feel free to send me a trade request anytime. Rao, trading is the core function of this chat group. A sudden screen and a torrent of information floods her mind, leaving her no chance to think. Seeing help and trade, she clutches at them like a lifeline. Ding. You have sent a trade request to Rao. Trade content, stop her teacher's actions. In the blink of an eye, a response arrives. Ding. Your trade request has been approved. Trade conditions, Soul Bone, Martial Soul, Soul Devouring Spider Emperor, Martial Soul, Death Spider Emperor, one-time usage rights to your body, ding. Confirmed trade? After reading her request, Rao sets the terms to their maximum. It aligns with what he had anticipated. Bibi Dong, in her desperation, immediately agrees. Ding. Trade commencing. Trading partner, Bibi Dong, trade content, stop her teacher's actions. Trade conditions, Soul Bone, Martial Soul, Soul Devouring Spider Emperor, Martial Soul, Death Spider Emperor, one-time usage rights to your body, duration, 24 hours. Qiong Xunji has no idea what Bibi Dong has done. All he sees is her terrified face staring at him. In his mind, he can possess forever this beautiful, supremely gifted disciple and father a gifted child with her, fueling his twisted desire. The wrinkles in his grin deepen with lecherous glee. Until a voice calls out from behind him, well now, is it secret chambered Luo or secret chamber supreme pontiff? You're not even in a hidden chamber, and you're already starting? Chapter 298, titled Luo? Weak. Who? Qiong Xunji's expression changed abruptly, and he spun around. Seated on the supreme pontiff's throne was a strangely dressed, handsome man, casually biting into an apple with a carefree look on his face. Who permitted you to enter the supreme pontiff's hall without authorization, and even sit on the supreme pontiff's throne? Do you have a death wish? Qiong Xunji was already seething with murderous intent. His words might have sounded proper and righteous, but the real reason for his anger was the humiliation of being caught in the act. No matter what, the man before him had to die. Suddenly. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. 9 soul rings appeared. The imposing might of a titled Luo manifested. Even the air grew oppressive under the pressure. Yet Rao remained unmoved, feeling only boredom. PFFT, a titled Luo. This is all you've got. Name, Qiong Xunji, level, 25, ability, Martial Soul, 6-winged angel, possession, spirit bone. Aside from that, Rao couldn't find any word to describe him. Weak. Pathetically weak. For a so-called titled Luo to amount to only this. It showed that the threshold here was not just for show, apparently, its standards really were high. You. Qiong Xunji had been about to threaten him, but discovered that Rao had vanished. In that instant, Rao appeared before a stunned Bibi Dong, sizing her up. As expected, you're very beautiful. No wonder this old lecher had such vile thoughts about you. You are. Bibi Dong couldn't see through the man before her. Rao grinned. I'm Rao, your group master. And also your trading partner. Bibi Dong immediately thought of that strange chat group that had suddenly appeared. Hearing Rao's voice, Qiong Xunji turned around again. Seeing Rao standing so close to Bibi Dong, he burst into fury. Get away from Donger. His soul rings lit up. A cascade of holy light pressure crashed down. Humphrey. Bibi Dong's face went pale. As an ordinary spirit master, she couldn't stand against a titled Luo. However, Rao stood in front of her, and the formidable pressure vanished in an instant. Bibi Dong watched in shock as Rao simply opened his mouth and uttered one phrase, kneel. Thud. Qiong Xunji, who had been terrifying just a moment ago, dropped heavily to his knees. Not only was Bibi Dong stunned, but Qiong Xunji himself looked bewildered. He was the supreme pontiff. A titled Luo. So how had a single word forced him to kneel? He tried to rise, but realized his body wouldn't budge. It was as if something had gripped him, binding him in place, as though he were submerged in an endless swamp. He couldn't even activate his soul power or martial soul. For the first time, Keong Xunji's face revealed genuine fear. By simply and forcefully using magical power, Rao had sealed Keong Xunji's movements. He turned to Bibi Dong and asked, "This old degenerate wanted to violate you. Would you like him to kowtow and apologize?" Bibi Dong still hadn't processed what was happening. She hadn't even answered when Rao decided on his own. "In that case, have him knock his head on the floor 10 times. Hard." When those words fell, "My body." It was as if something was gripping Keong Xunji and forcing him to move. He turned to face Bibi Dong. Recalling Rao's command, the fear in Keong Xunji's expression grew even sharper. "And no, don't." How could he possibly kowtow to Bibi Dong? He was her master, the exalted supreme pontiff, and a titled Luo. Unfortunately, he couldn't stop it. He lifted his head high. Bang! His forehead struck the ground with tremendous force. The floor shattered. When he lifted his head again, blood was streaming down his forehead. That strike had definitely been brutal. And it wasn't just the floor that was broken. So was the mental state of Keong Xunji, who had always lorded above others. Even if he were to live, such humiliation would weigh on him forever, likely preventing any further progress in cultivation. But it wasn't over. Bang! 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 He banged his head on the floor 10 times in total, each one sounding equally forceful. Every blow shook Bibi Dong to the core. Deprived of his soul power, Keong Xunji's face was now a horrific sight. "Do you feel better now?" Rao asked. Bibi Dong didn't know how to respond. She could only nod numbly. "Okay, then the next step is to finish him off." That brought Bibi Dong to her senses. "No." She tried to stop him, but it was already too late. Rao casually swept his hand. Clang! A sword light flashed forth. Slash! In an instant, the Supreme Pontiff, so high and mighty mere moments ago, didn't even manage to scream before his head flew from his shoulders. Clack! His head tumbled, finally stopping against the wall. Watching the lifeless corpse, Bibi Dong felt as if it were all a dream. Meanwhile, Rao was already tallying up his spoils. Ding! Trade complete, ding! You've obtained the item Spirit Bone. Ding! You've acquired the abilities Martial Soul, Soul Devouring Spider Emperor and Martial Soul, Death Spider Emperor. Ding! It's detected these abilities are unworthy of tainting your noble body. Abilities upgraded, ding! You've obtained the ability Divine Soul. Divine Soul? Upon examining this newly gained ability, he found it wasn't some sort of godly will, but rather an unusual and interesting power. Divine Soul, by gathering a vast number of living souls, you can completely convert any of your own powers into a conceptual form. Though the description seemed odd, put simply, it meant sacrificing the souls of living beings to transform a given ability into a conceptual power. Akin to freezing. The key was collecting souls. The method was direct. Killing living beings, as he had just done. For instance, Keong Xunji's soul. In addition to the blue orb of experience, Rao saw a golden orb of light. That was Keong Xunji's living soul. With a single thought, he gathered them. He instinctively sensed that in some sort of container space within him, the living soul was stored. Once that space was filled, the power of the divine soul could be unleashed. But from what he could tell, filling that container was no easy task. This world is a perfect place to level up and collect souls. After all, it had so many spirit beasts. Rao wouldn't mind harvesting them to accumulate souls. He already knew from his own freezing ability just how powerful conceptual powers could be. Who wouldn't want more? Certainly, he did. Chapter 299, Killing? Gossip. Bibi Dong stared in shock at Keong Xunji's corpse for quite a while before finally coming back to her senses. In disbelief, she said. "You killed the Supreme Pontiff." Rao shrugged. "So what if I killed him?" Bibi Dong was at a loss for words. After all, her teacher was the Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall. She simply couldn't comprehend how the man before her could act so decisively, and with such mysterious boldness. She could tell Rao was far from ordinary. Especially the way he had practically overwhelmed and controlled a titled Luo in order to kill him. It was simply unbelievable. To do something like that, he had to be at least a rank 95 or above Super Luo, right? "You. Who are you, really? Aren't you already aware?" Bibi Dong, of course, knew he was someone from another world who had come through the chat group. She just couldn't believe he'd travel across worlds to kill her teacher for some kind of trade. Yet at the same time, she no longer felt any fondness for her teacher now that she had seen his true beastly nature. She had more urgent matters to worry about. "We have to leave Spirit City immediately." With the Supreme Pontiff dead, chaos was sure to break out. The Grand Worship, Kion Daliu, would never spare the one who killed his son. He was a rank 99 limit Luo. After all. Where do you want to go? Rao asked. We have to flee to the Starred Forest. It's the best place to hide, filled with soul beasts. But Rao shook his head. No. There's somewhere else I need to go first, and you're coming with me. You. Bibi Dong began anxiously, but in the next instant her body went rigid as Rao pulled her into his arms. His blue eyes locked onto her crimson gaze. I haven't collected my payment yet, so you'll have to stay with me for a while. In the blink of an eye, the two of them vanished from the Supreme Pontiff's palace. They had barely left when a figure in white robes arrived behind them. My son. My son. A white-haired elder let out a heart-wrenching wail at the sight of the corpse on the floor. This man was Kion Daliu. After a moment, his gaze turned murderously grim. No matter who you are. If you killed my son, I'll tear you to pieces. Boom. The sheer pressure he unleashed shook all of Spirit City. Rao didn't care in the slightest about what was happening back in Spirit City. Right now, he just wanted to grind for experience and souls. Rather than hunting soul beasts in the Starred Forest, Sunset Forest, Panlong Forest, Demonic Forest, or the extreme north. Areas he considered already well explored. He preferred leveling up in the ocean. The sea was far more extensive. Where is this? When the roaring ocean wind suddenly assaulted her senses, Bibi Dong looked around in confusion. She felt soft sand beneath her feet and gazed out over a boundless blue sea. I picked an island at random, Rao said. You stay here. I've got something to do. That was all he offered by way of explanation. Bibi Dong then saw him spread his arms and toss a huge black sphere into the air. She didn't know exactly what that black sphere was, but she could feel an immense power emanating from it. And a strong pull exerted on her own soul. It was like a magic that stirred up one's deepest desires. TSK, I forgot about you, Rao muttered. With a light smack, his hand tapped her face. Bibi Dong, whose eyes had just begun to glaze over, snapped back to consciousness, looking at him in horror. What? What is that thing? A moment ago, she'd felt an overwhelming urge to draw closer to it. It's nothing, Rao answered casually. Just a sphere infused with magic that summons out the strongest cravings and greed in living creatures. It's good for luring soul beasts. He paused. All right, have a seat. Taking Bibi Dong by the hand, he pulled her down onto a soft sofa that appeared from who knows where. Since we have some spare time, feel free to ask anything you want. After a few seconds of silence, Bibi Dong couldn't hold back anymore. Why did you help me? Was it really just because of that trade? What else? Rao smiled faintly. I told you. A trade is the core principle. The rule. Of the chat group's existence. Besides, I've already received part of my reward. As he spoke, he casually produced a soul bone. Bibi Dong instantly recognized it as one of her own soul bones, yet hers was obviously still in her body. This is part of the payment. A copy of your soul bone that exists outside your own. So that means my martial spirit too. Bibi Dong recalled that her martial spirit was also part of the trade. She remembered from the information in her mind that abilities or items given up in the trade wouldn't be lost from her own body. I've already received your martial spirit, Rao went on. All that's left is the final part of the agreement, the usage rights to your body. Usage rights. Bibi Dong looked puzzled again, because the knowledge in her head had given her no details about that. Rao made it plain, it means the act between a man and a woman. Bibi Dong sprang to her feet, biting her lip. You're just like. But Rao wasn't the type to let himself be insulted for no reason. Stop right there. I'm not like that secret-chambered Luo teacher of yours. She fell silent, watching him closely, waiting for an explanation. But Rao was completely straightforward. This is the content of our trade, and it's what I'm owed. Right? Bibi Dong had no way to refute him. In a moment of desperation, she had agreed to everything without reading the fine print. Yet that lifeline had saved her life. Logically speaking, she ought to uphold her end of the contract. But her lips trembled slightly, and she spoke in a low voice. Could we swap it for something else? I'll do anything else you want. She wanted her first time to be for someone she truly loved. Unfortunately, life seldom goes as one hopes. That won't work, Rao replied. The chat group's rules are absolute and enforceable. I advise you not to try resisting. A power that can send me across worlds so easily isn't something you can defy. But Bibi Dong tried to say more, but Rao lifted his hand to stop her. Anyway, I'm not in a rush. You'll have time to prepare yourself, so let's talk about something else for now. After all, he was set on collecting his reward. For instance, How about telling me what happened between you and your teacher just now? I'm curious. Curiosity is part of human nature, and Rao was no exception. Chapter 300, Fishing. Deep-sea demonic whale king. Based on Rao's observations upon arriving in this world, it seems that Secret Room Luo really is planning some kind of secret room operation. In other words, it might be related to that oddball Yu Zhao gang. And indeed, his guess was correct. Noticing that Rao wasn't planning on discussing the matter of the final reward yet, Bibi Dong felt powerless. But due to the absolute gap in strength, she had no choice but to lower her head for now. Even her teacher, a titled Luo, didn't know how he died. How much less could she, a mere-souled Luo, stand a chance? So she recounted the whole story, also letting out the bitterness in her heart. Why did my teacher? She couldn't understand why the teacher she had always revered would show such a revolting look in his eyes. After hearing her out, Rao was rather surprised. He had originally thought that Bibi Dong broke off with Qiong Xunji because she liked Yu Zhao gang, but he hadn't expected there to be a small misunderstanding in all this. Still, a romance continent that isn't all about romance? Would that even make sense? Your teacher, all I can say is that he lusted after your beauty and talent. He's a scumbag. However, I also think your own behavior was quite foolish. Foolish? Bibi Dong frowned. Why do you say that? She wasn't angry, rather, she was genuinely curious to hear the view of this outsider who otherwise had nothing to do with the situation. Rao pointed at the luxurious platinum robe she was wearing. Do you know what you're wearing right now? That was the attire of the Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall. This represents your status. Everything you have now is thanks to Spirit Hall. You should also know the relationship between Spirit Hall and the three upper sects. As the Holy Maiden, you've grown so close to the three upper sects, even letting Yu Zhao gang read Spirit Hall's collected tomes. Don't you think that's rather inappropriate? Bibi Dong was stunned. She was aware that Spirit Hall's relationship with the three upper sects was very strained and far from friendly. Reflecting on it, she realized that her actions really had been improper. But at least I wasn't wrong about one thing. Yu Zhao gang is very knowledgeable. She wanted to believe there was at least something correct in what she did. Unfortunately. Hey. Rao snorted. Didn't you say that around the age where others are already soul elders or soul ancestors, he's still stuck at a grand soul master? If he were truly capable, would it have come to that? He turned to Bibi Dong and asked. Doesn't he have a theory called there are no useless martial spirits, only useless soul masters? How do you know that? Bibi Dong was taken aback. Could it be that Rao had also read Yu Zhao gang's theories? I just happened to find out. Rao waved it off casually, then posed another question. Don't you think that no matter how you look at it, if we go by his own theory, he himself is a useless soul master? Yu Zhao gang had a mutated martial spirit. As the son of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan's sect master, he'd taken all kinds of potent medicines. Yet he was still stuck at the Grand Soul Master realm. If that's not useless, what is? Following Rao's prompt, Bibi Dong suddenly noticed the contradictions. No matter which angle you look at it from, the result is the same. If the theory is correct, then he's a useless soul master. If he's not useless, then that undermines the theory. Either way, Yu Zhao gang appears highly questionable. Seeing Bibi Dong's thoughtful expression, Rao offered a final piece of advice. Until now, you've been living in Spirit Hall, ignorant of worldly matters. Naturally, you don't understand how complicated people's hearts can be. If you get the chance, go out and meet different kinds of people. Otherwise, if you get tricked, you might end up giving them money, too. With that, he stood up. There's work to be done. Bibi Dong, lost in Rao's words, was still reeling. In that brief moment of distraction. Rumble. Clatter, clatter. Roar. Bzz. Sea spirit beasts of every shape and size boiled up from the ocean like a seething hot pot. Bibi Dong leapt up in alarm. Beyond the terror of seeing a whole horde of soul beasts, many were huge creatures with such immense sores that they made her feel stifled. Beasts at least 80 or 90,000 years old, maybe even 100,000. They frenziedly vaulted from the surface, trying to devour the black orb of magic power in midair that shone with a strange, eerie light. Their deepest greed had been ignited, sending them into a mindless rage as they tore apart all competitors around them. In an instant, the surrounding sea turned into a river of blood. Encircled by so many soul beasts. Was that not a disaster waiting to happen? Bibi Dong was shocked. Even as Holy Maiden of Spirit Hall who once hunted soul beasts under the protection of a titled Luo, she had never witnessed anything like this. If it were anyone else, this might spell doom. But in Rao's eyes, it was just a trifle. 100,000-year soul beasts might look terrifying, but to him they were just small fries of around level 25. He then proceeded to show Bibi Dong what true power looked like. He merely glanced over from the sky and sighed, "The creatures of the sea truly haven't disappointed me. Then you shall all become my experience points." Rao clenched his right fist. Boom. The sea, which had been churning in blood, instantly transformed into a blazing inferno. The ocean began to evaporate, and the flames only grew fiercer in the water. Under that searing red glow, none of the sea spirit beasts, no matter their size, could withstand the roaring flames. Bibi Dong even saw that some soul bones, which had emerged after the flesh was burnt away, instantly disintegrated to ash the moment they touched the fire. What kind of fire was this? What kind of power? She had already witnessed so many things beyond her comprehension that her mind was close to numbing. But what happened next shook her even more. Who dares disturb me in these waters? A thunderous roar from the seabed forced Bibi Dong to clutch her ears. Enormous pillars of water shot skyward, and crashing waves fell like a torrential downpour. Beyond the sea of fire, a colossal soul beast emerged, its form like a whale, its entire body gleaming sapphire blue. The immense creature stretched 200 meters in length. On its head were two giant eyes, each spanning 3 meters across. What kind of soul beast is that? Even Bibi Dong stared in awe. She had never seen such a menacing creature. One whose oppressive presence felt even stronger than Spirit Hall's enshrined experts. Rao broke into a grin. "Looks like I've hooked a big fish. A near millionaire. Deep-sea demonic whale king. A million years?" Bibi Dong was stupefied. What an utterly astonishing figure. Chapter 301, Lanfosia 100,000 year spirit beast is stronger than an ordinary titled Liu. Even the most average 100,000 year spirit beast is roughly equal to a rank 95 super Liu. Could the colossal creature in front of Rao be a spirit beast close to a million years old? Then wouldn't that mean it's at least 900,000 years old? Bibi Dong, who had never even encountered a 100,000 year spirit beast, felt suffocated. A spirit beast over 900,000 years old. Even Qian Daliu, the Supreme Elder, might not be able to fight it, right? However, what shocked her was that Rao's face showed not the slightest hint of fear. And indeed, he truly had nothing to fear. Spirit beast, deep-sea demon whale king, level 35. Pathetically weak as well. In his eyes, it was no different from Qian Xunji. Something that could be crushed at will. But through this creature, he gauged the so-called power of gods in this world. At level 100, one becomes a god. Aside from a certain insect, the deep-sea demon whale king is likely the only spirit beast closest to godhood. Its strength surpasses an ultimate Liu but remains below that of a god. Above that are third-class gods, second-class gods, first-class gods, and then god kings. By his estimate, a god king is probably in the level 50 to 60 range. However, for a god king who can control external power, like the core of the divine realm, he isn't certain yet. Once he's completely sure of his own abilities, he wouldn't mind taking a trip to the divine realm. Now, the deep-sea demon whale king was fixated on the sphere of magical energy in the sky. Its huge eyes glowed with excitement and greed. Just looking at it made him unable to look away. A voice in his mind told him that if he could swallow that thing, not only would he recover, but he would become even more powerful. Roar. No longer caring about the two human spirit masters, the deep-sea demon whale king opened his maw. Like a black hole. Intent on swallowing the sphere of magical energy. "Hey, do you plan to eat someone else's stuff without asking first? It seems you sea spirit beasts don't have much in the way of manners?" The deep-sea demon whale king's eyes went wide. Its giant mouth stopped just short of the orb. It wasn't that he didn't want to devour it. He simply could not. Somehow, his colossal demonic body had been tightly gripped by an enormous claw. That crimson claw, emanating the majesty of a dragon, extended from the void behind Rao. "You." Only then did the deep-sea demon whale king realize that the orb of energy was not an unowned object. It belonged to the human before him. No. He couldn't believe Rao was a human. Even Bitian couldn't possess such a pure draconic aura. And just that aura alone made the whale tremble all over. "You're a god?" Faced with such a being, the deep-sea demon whale king could only imagine that possibility. A god among spirit beasts? He didn't understand why a god would be walking the land. "Don't use such a lame term to describe me," Rao said. Someone had dared to use that kind of trashy name for him. Just thinking of how gods in this world behaved made Rao feel sick. "Deep-sea demon whale king, you must have heard the saying greed always carries a price, haven't you?" With these words, the crimson dragon claw effortlessly lifted the 300-meter-long whale body from the sea into the sky. Roar. Crushing pressure descended, and the deep-sea demon whale king let out a mournful roar. He was going to die. "Spare me." At this moment, the deep-sea demon whale king regretted it all. Faced with such an unfathomable difference in power, he attempted to concede. From the island, Bibi Dong stood in awe of Rao, who had casually subdued a 900,000-year spirit beast from start to finish. She realized that her understanding of Rao had always been just the tip of the iceberg. Roar. The pressure within the dragon's claw intensified, and blood seeped from the deep-sea demon whale king's body. His ori grew weaker. "Spare my father." Suddenly, a clear, urgent voice rang out. The sea surged. A large and a smaller deep-sea demon whale emerged from the waves. In the next moment, the smaller whale condensed and transformed into a blue-haired young girl, landing on top of the larger whale's head. Her delicate face was awash in tears. "I'm begging you. Please spare my father. Honored one, may I also ask you to spare my husband?" Another female voice came from the larger deep-sea demon whale. "Oh?" Rao sized them up and immediately understood their identities. They were the wife and daughter of the deep-sea demon whale king. The future demon empress and Lanfosi. "Run." The gravely wounded deep-sea demon whale king used all his strength to roar, eyes nearly bursting with desperation. Such an opponent was not someone they could afford to provoke. He didn't mind dying. But he couldn't stand by and watch his wife and child die here. Just as he was about to burn everything to give his family time to escape, he suddenly noticed the pressure restraining him loosen, then vanish entirely. The next instant, his massive body plummeted from the sky into the sea. Boom. Towering waves arose, and when the sea finally calmed, the still-living deep-sea demon whale king spoke in a hoarse, low voice. "Why did you spare me?" Rao calmly rubbed his chin and said, "Because I've taken a liking to your daughter." "Huh? Ah." All three members of the deep-sea demon whale family froze in disbelief. He didn't elaborate. Instead, he lifted his hand and sent the orb of magical energy into the deep-sea demon whale king's body. The whale tensed for an instant, but then realized that his injuries were rapidly healing. At the same time, a tremendous power flooded into him. The deep-sea demon whale king was astonished to discover that the everlasting wound once inflicted by sea god Poseidon had fully recovered. His power was advancing, and he felt on the brink of becoming a god. But the ascension abruptly stopped. Then Rao's voice rang out, "I've healed your wounds and helped you advance another stage, but you cannot become a god." "Why not?" The deep-sea demon whale king was unwilling to accept it. He truly had felt the threshold of divinity just now. Rao pointed to the sky. "Because the laws of the divine realm above this continent don't allow spirit beasts to become gods. The instant you become a god, you'll die." "What?" Question mark. Hearing this for the first time, the deep-sea demon whale king was terrified. "I won't explain more. Just know that by stopping you from becoming a god, I've saved your life." Sigh. After a moment of silence, the deep-sea demon whale king let out a heavy sigh. All that intense unwillingness transformed into sudden realization and a faint relief. He believed what Rao said. A being who could kill him with a wave, or grant him godhood just as easily, had no reason to deceive him. He wasn't even worthy of being lied to by such a powerful entity. Chapter 302, I like her human form. A soul beast that reaches 100,000 years of cultivation will face a heavenly tribulation. If it survives, it can continue living. If it fails, it will be utterly destroyed, body and soul. After the first tribulation, 100,000-year soul beast steps onto the path of cultivation ranging from 100,000 to 1,000,000 years. From then on, it will encounter a calamity once every additional 100,000 years of cultivation. In order to become a 1,000,000-year soul beast, one must survive 10 such calamities. But that's basically impossible. The reason lies in an ancient internal war in the divine realm between human gods and beast gods. The beast gods were defeated. Ever since, soul beasts have been suppressed by the divine realm. They decreed that soul beasts would face a heavenly tribulation every 100,000 years, each more powerful than the last. The 10th tribulation is specifically designed to annihilate them. Thus, soul beasts can never truly reach 1,000,000 years of cultivation. The deep-sea demonic whale king, upon learning of this, felt a tinge of sorrow. Fortunately, the injuries caused by Poseidon have healed, and the eyes that had been blinded are now able to see again. However, all of this was made possible by the powerful being standing before him. There is no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Or rather, what appears free is usually the hardest to obtain. The deep-sea demonic whale king heard everything clearly. Cautiously, he probed, "Your Excellency, did you say you've taken a liking to my daughter?" At that moment, Lanfosi, who had been crying upon seeing her father nearly die, stopped sobbing. She looked curiously at Rao. It seemed he had indeed mentioned her. The deep-sea demonic whale king's wife grew nervous. "My lord, my daughter." She had wanted to say her daughter was still young, but at 100,000-year level, that hardly seemed young. "You. Come here." Rao crooked a finger at Lanfosi. Lan Fozi didn't know what to do. The deep-sea demonic whale king's wife could only look to her husband. The deep-sea demonic whale king was a straightforward man. Even if this being was unimaginably powerful and had saved his life, it still concerned his family, so he spoke up directly. "My lord, may I ask what you see in my daughter?" "I like her human form after she transforms," Rao replied without the slightest hesitation. Indeed, the girl Lan Fozi in her human form was strikingly beautiful. Behind him, Bibi Dong had trouble finding words. He actually just fancied that 100,000-year soul beast's good looks. But that's a soul beast. Rao didn't care about the taboos this world's soul masters might have regarding soul beasts. After all, he once idolized Zhujian, and strawberry heroes aren't a joke. He had even slept with a dragon, so he didn't mind trying whales, sharks, and so on. As long as they could transform into human form, that was fine. This revelation shocked the deep-sea demon whale couple as well. The lord before them was attracted to their daughter's human shape? That might not be a bad thing at all. Of course, they both hoped their daughter could stay close to this incomparably powerful figure. Especially the deep-sea demonic whale king, who had personally witnessed just a fraction of Rao's despair-inducing power. After all, a soul beast is still a soul beast. As Rao had said, the divine realm suppresses soul beasts and prevents them from becoming gods. Humans, however, can one day ascend to godhood. Soul beasts are either cut down by natural causes or heavenly tribulations, or else become soul rings for humans, especially for powerful soul masters who yearn for 100,000-year soul rings and soul bones. If their daughter could remain at this lord's side, perhaps that would be the safest place in the world. Still, they didn't want to force her choice. Lan Fozi remained innocent, unable to grasp the true implications. Sensing her curiosity, the deep-sea demonic whale king brought up a topic. "My lord, are you planning to take my daughter to the human world?" "The human world?" Lan Fozi's eyes lit up. She was very curious about it, though her parents always stopped her from going near humans. Rao pondered for a moment, then had an idea. He promised. "Yes. If she's willing, I can guarantee that no one can harm her. Not even all the gods in the divine realm, nor the strongest of the god kings." His calm, confident statement shook the deep-sea demonic whale king to his core. He only knew of one deity, Poseidon. But Rao clearly knew not just about gods, but even the mightiest deity in the divine realm. And he was still able to speak of it so casually. The deep-sea demonic whale king realized that Rao might be a great opportunity sent by the heavens. If they seized this chance, their daughter might not have to endure future tribulations and endless suffering. He felt an urgent desire to agree on her behalf. His wife sensed her husband's eagerness, but could only wait for their daughter's answer from above. After a while, Lan Fozi wore a pitiful expression as she asked, "Mom, Dad, is it okay if I go see the human world?" She expected a rejection. Yet the deep-sea demonic whale king immediately said yes. "All right. Absolutely. Daughter, from now on, you'll follow this lord." Afraid Rao would change his mind, he swept his tail. And a gust of wind blew Lan Fozi right into Rao's arms, where he caught her steadily. "My lord, we entrust our daughter to you." With that, he prepared to leave with his wife. "Take these." Rao casually flicked out 2 ice crystals, which each of the deep-sea demonic whale king couple swallowed. "What is this?" They felt puzzled by what they had just ingested. "It's my power, to protect you both from harm by future tribulations and keep you from perishing," Rao said with a smile. "Since you've entrusted your daughter to me, I naturally won't let her lose her parents." The deep-sea demonic whale king and his wife exchanged a glance. They said solemnly, "Thank you." Then they dove back into the depths of the ocean. At that moment, Lan Fozi, still in Rao's arms, finally came to her senses. Mom and Dad just agreed like that? After all, they'd always warned her how dangerous humans could be. "That's right. From now on, you'll follow me." Chapter 303, Conquered. Rao set her down. After sizing her up, he pressed his index finger to her forehead. A cool sensation made Lan Fozi shiver. My lord, what are you doing?" she asked cautiously. "I'm just wiping away the soul beast aura from you and placing a restriction on you," Rao patiently explained. "With this restriction, you can manifest a fake martial soul and spirit rings just like a human soul master. No one will be able to tell the difference." "Really?" Upon hearing that, Lan Fozi couldn't wait to try. She released her martial soul, the deep-sea demonic whale. Circles of spirit rings appeared afterward: yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. The first 8 rings were the best possible configuration, and the final ring glowed a brilliant red, signifying a 100,000-year ring. It really works. Lan Fozi's spirits soared. If she could perfectly disguise herself as a soul master, She could finally explore the human world freely. "Thank you, my lord." After thanking him, she remembered something and introduced herself with a playful grin. "My name is Lanthosi." "My lord, could I know your name?" "Rayao." "She's Bibi Dong." "Oh. Rayao-sama." Knowing his name made Lanthosi even happier. "Are we going to the human world now?" She was already eager to set off. It's about time. He had harvested almost all the soul beasts in the sea. He didn't intend to ruin the entire marine soul beast ecosystem. But before that, Rayao shifted his gaze to Bibi Dong, who had been standing there in shock and anger the entire time. "So, how about the final part of our trade? Have you thought it over?" Bibi Dong avoided his gaze. "That sort of thing." She felt as if she had just escaped a tiger's den, only to fall into a wolf's lair. It was different, though. Her own teacher, Keong Xunji, disgusted her. But Rayao. She couldn't see through this man. He was too mysterious, like an iceberg of which only a tiny part was visible. And he was the one who had saved her. She didn't dislike him, but that kind of request. She lowered her head, nervously twisting the hem of her skirt, not knowing how to answer. Seeing her reaction, Rayao took the initiative. "If you're not ready, we can start with something simpler." "Something simpler?" Bibi Dong watched as Rayao came closer and took her hand. "First, we hold hands." Their fingers intertwined. The unfamiliar sensation made her face flush. "Next, we hug." With that, Rayao pulled her into his arms. The warmth made her body heat up. "And then, we kiss." Before she could react, he kissed her firmly. After all, this was the reward Rayao was owed from their bargain, so he showed no restraint. Things quickly grew more passionate. Bibi Dong's eyes trembled shut. Under Rayao's practiced and gentle moves, the fire in her heart was stoked, and she unconsciously clung to him. A hint of satisfaction flashed through Rayao's eyes. He summoned a barrier of light that enclosed the entire island. Lanthosi looked on, puzzled, at the two people growing more and more heated. Is that how humans interact? She didn't really get it, but she stayed quiet. She just silently watched as a soft blanket appeared on the beach and the pair began an even more bewildering form of communication upon it. Deep within the starred forest, a silver-white figure opened its eyes. Dragon. Those eyes held a trace of confusion. Not long before, a formidable draconic aura, akin to that of the dragon god, or perhaps even stronger, had jolted it awake. But that couldn't possibly be true. The sun rose. As dawnlight spread, morning arrived. Bibi Dong opened her weary eyes under the sunlight. She sat up, and as the blanket slid off her body, the events of the previous night rushed back into her mind. Ugh! A blush instantly swept over her entire being, flooding her with shame. "You're awake." Rayao walked up and handed her a skewer of roasted sea soul beast meat. "Have something to eat." Roasted fish like this is so good." Not far away, Lanthosi was perched by the fire with a huge string of fish, devouring them without the slightest concern for appearances. Because her soul beast instincts dominated, she acted quite uninhibited. She had watched Rayao and Bibi Dong all night long, but it didn't bother her at all. She only felt their way of interacting was unusual, though they both seemed to enjoy it very much. Bibi Dong took the skewer woodenly, holding the blanket in place with her other hand. She truly didn't know what to do. This man had taken her precious first time. It was a transaction, yes, but she still didn't know how to face Rayao. Rayao, on the other hand, acted as if he were used to this sort of thing. He sat down beside her casually and spoke of a matter he had clearly already considered. "Bibi Dong, with the time I have left here, I plan to make you the new Supreme Pontiff." Still shy and anxious, Bibi Dong felt her brain freeze. "Become Supreme Pontiff?" "That's right." Rayao beckoned Lanthosi over. "She wants to visit human cities and needs a suitable identity. I can't stay in this world forever. I'll make you Supreme Pontiff, and you can provide her with that identity. How about it?" Rayao, "You're really going to leave?" Lanthosi clung to his arm sorrowfully. While Bibi Dong was resting, Rayao hadn't been idle. He had fully claimed Lanthosi as well, and didn't neglect her in the least. He even gave her the power to protect herself. To soul beasts, his magic was like a divine treasure. In a short time, he had dramatically stabilized and boosted her cultivation. Name, Lanthosi, level, 35, ability, Deep-Sea Demonic Whale. She already had cultivation on par with the Deep-Sea Demonic Whale King, nearly reaching the 100,000-year mark. That was why she admired him so much, calling him Big Brother. In her eyes, no one, not even her parents, had ever treated her so well. And now that Rayao had also given her a sub-chat group function, Lanthosi knew he came from another world and had to return there soon, so she felt especially reluctant. "Don't worry. If you miss me, You can always perform a trade to summon me back. Rao gently pinched her cheek. Lan Fozhi nodded obediently, without any tears or fuss. Chapter 304, Who approves? Who objects? Bibi Dong calmed down. She realized this also seemed to be a kind of trade. Yet when her gaze fell on the pair interacting so intimately, a faint trace of envy flickered deep within her eyes. She quickly composed herself. Bibi Dong shook her head with a bitter smile. I'm sorry, I might not have that kind of strength. Besides, the teacher you killed was the son of the Supreme Elder. I'm probably already on his must-kill list. As for your power, when I return next time, I can give you power. Until then, Lan Fozhi can serve as your strength. Just as Rao finished speaking. Silence. The air suddenly grew heavy. Bibi Dong's eyes went wide with astonishment. Purple, black, 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 red, 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 red. She saw an extremely exaggerated set of spirit rings appear around Lan Fozhi's body. They were entirely different from before. 5 blood-red 100,000-year spirit rings struck at Bibi Dong's mind like a storm. Last night I boosted her strength just a little, so she's now a bit stronger than your Supreme Elder, Rao said. Bibi Dong shuddered inwardly. If it were this man, perhaps nothing was impossible. Well? Do you want to become the Supreme Pontiff? Rao asked with a playful smile. She fell silent for a moment, gazing deeply into Rao's eyes. Before I answer, can I ask you one question? Go ahead, Rao said without concern. When? I'm no longer of any use to you. Will you abandon me? Huh? He hadn't expected her to ask that. But his surprise lasted only a second. Rao gave his answer by leaning in and kissing her. Then he drew back and promised. I won't abandon you. If you wish, I'm willing to look after you for a lifetime. After the kiss, Bibi Dong's eyes softened. But she didn't nod. Instead, she shook her head. I'll become the Supreme Pontiff. She didn't give Rao a direct reply, because she still needed time to make sense of everything that had happened. Yet there was one thing she was sure of, even if Rao wasn't going to be her man, there would never be another. All right, Rao said, not forcing her to decide then and there. It was just a deal, after all. Even he didn't believe it could instantly turn into genuine love. Well then, let's head to the Spirit Hall. Spirit Hall, Main Hall. Qian Daliu radiated an imposing aura, his face grim after listening to someone's report. Bibi Dong had disappeared. He was certain her disappearance was related to his son's death. Find her for me. Even if she's at the ends of the earth. For the time being, Qian Daliu had concealed the news of Qian Xunji's death. Right now, he just wanted to find Bibi Dong, learn the truth, and avenge his son. No need to look for her. I'm the one who killed your son. A voice echoed throughout the main hall. Qian Daliu's gaze turned razor-sharp, locking onto Rao, who had suddenly appeared. Bibi Dong was standing right beside him. So it really is you. Vile woman, prepare to die. Without any hesitation, he unleashed his spirit power, forming a giant hand that lunged toward the three of them. Get lost. Before Rao could move, Lan Fozhi stepped forward. With a single palm strike, Qian Daliu's pupils contracted, and he hurriedly withdrew. The massive spirit-powered hand was shattered by a surge of fierce energy. Boom. The wall behind him exploded as well. Steadying himself, Qian Daliu narrowed his eyes. An intensely dangerous aura came from Lan Fozhi. Supreme Elder. Right then, figures poured into the hall, surrounding Rao's group of 3. Over a dozen individuals, each releasing the aura of a titled Luo. There were even several super Luo among them. Surrender now. You've dared to kill my son, so you must stand trial, Qian Daliu declared, confidently hovering in midair. Holy radiance descended, revealing his 6-winged angel martial spirit and his best configuration spirit rings, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. Oh, so that's what Rao meant when he said spirit masters like to use their spirit rings to pressure people, huh? Lan Fozhi sniffed unhappily. I can do that, too. Roar. Everyone in the main hall heard an earth-shaking beast's roar. Behind Lan Fozhi, the image of a deep-sea demon whale materialized, charging skyward. Yet what truly made them quake with fear were her rings, purple, black, 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 red, 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 red. Each one exceeded the supposed limits for spirit rings. 5 of them glowed blood red, exuding the savage might of top-tier spirit beasts. The entire hall fell silent as everyone stared at Lan Fozhi in awe. Even Qian Daliu paled in terror. Impossible. Not even he, who possessed no 100,000-year spirit ring, nor Tang Shen, who was known to be exceptionally powerful, could possess such a monstrous array. Unless it was the result of a divine trial. His instincts told him that this was undeniably real. There was no mistaking the aura of a genuine ferocious beast. Who exactly are you people? Keon Dailiu demanded through clenched teeth. No wonder Bibi Dong dared to kill her own master. She had found an unimaginably powerful backer. Rao chuckled. Never mind who we are. Donger has something to say to you. Donger, he muttered. Bibi Dong blushed at that familiar form of address. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward. Supreme Elder, yes. It's because of me that my teacher died. How dare you murder your teacher? Such wickedness. Keon Dailiu, his anger flaring, was about to continue when the other titled Luo, suppressed by Lan Fozi's overwhelming aura, simply did not dare to stir. Bibi Dong's face was filled with complex emotions. Here's what happened. My teacher tried to force himself on me, and it was Rao-sama who heard my plea for help and saved me. Everyone was stunned. The Supreme Pontiff they had once revered had done something like that? Keon Dailiu's blood surged, his old face reddening. Knowing his son's temperament, it certainly sounded like something Keon Xunji might do. That scoundrel. He cursed inwardly. Yet aloud he said. Even so, you had no reason to kill your own teacher. Hold on. Rao cut them off. He only needed Bibi Dong to reveal the truth. More talk was pointless. Rao said plainly. She didn't kill him. All Bibi Dong asked was to be rescued. It was my decision alone to kill your son, Keon Xunji, because I couldn't stand scum like him. You. Keon Dailiu tried to question him further, but Rao's gaze turned icy cold. I didn't come here to debate. Then, in the blink of an eye. Red, 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 red. 9 blood-red spirit rings appeared around Rao. A terrifying pressure descended on the hall. Thud. Keon Dailiu fell from midair as if his wings had been clipped. PFFT. PFFT. All the titled Luo around them, unable to bear the crushing power, dropped to their knees and spat blood. One after another, they stared in disbelief at those 9 100,000-year spirit rings. Rao smirked. Indeed. Showing off spirit rings in this world was a rush. Right now, he was thoroughly enjoying it. Amid the awestruck looks from Bibi Dong and Lan Fozi, Rao spoke in a frosty voice. From now on, Bibi Dong will be the new Supreme Pontiff of the Spirit Hall. Who approves? Who objects? Chapter 305. Who approves? Who objects? All the worshippers and other titled Luo affiliated with the Spirit Hall shuddered. Not a single person dared to speak up. After all, that was a monster with 9 100,000-year spirit rings. Who would dare so much as let out a peep? One by one, they bowed their heads and pretended they hadn't heard anything. Compared to the Spirit Hall, their own lives mattered more. In the end, only Keon Dailiu stood up to make the final decision. He rose to his feet again. His gaze lingered on the dozen or so 100,000-year spirit rings surrounding Rao and Lan Fozi, and a sense of old age washed over him. But he was still aware of his own status and understood as well that this legacy was the real future of Spirit Hall. With a stern expression, he shouted. Don't even think about it. Smack. The moment these words left his mouth, a coldness that reached deep into his soul froze everything that belonged to him. Keon Dailiu's expression remained fixed in that last fierce glare. His body pitched forward. And the instant he hit the ground. Shatter. The ice crystals broke into countless tiny fragments, each one translucent and glimmering, scattering across the floor in front of the feet of the other titled Luo. Their faces all went pale with horror. Their entire bodies were trembling. That mighty and invincible Supreme Elder had died for uttering a single sentence. So utterly and completely that not even a corpse remained. They were both relieved and terrified. Relieved that they hadn't rushed to take a stand, terrified of what fate might await them next. As for Keon Dailiu, that old coot. Rao didn't care in the slightest. He was just trash at level 33, easily dispatched with a flick of the hand. Rao swept his gaze over the group. Who approves? Who objects? Once again, that cool, clear voice struck their hearts like a heavy hammer. Silence settled over the hall once more. But this time, the silence lasted only a few seconds. I approve. It wasn't clear who was the first to shout. Right after came a flurry of voices in unison, we approve. Only then did Rao nod in satisfaction. Lan Fozi, from now on, you'll be the Supreme Elder. Sure thing, Rao. Donger, I'll leave things here to you. Bibi Dong's expression was conflicted, a slight tremor of excitement in her heart. She never expected that she would become the Supreme Pontiff just like that. All of it was done by the gentle-faced man before her. Only now did she realize that perhaps no one in the world could compare to him in omnipotence. She nodded lightly. I'll do my best as Supreme Pontiff. Rao gently brushed aside her hair and said softly. It's fine if you can't do it perfectly. Whenever you need help, just come to me. And with that, He chose to return to his own world. When the person before her vanished, leaving only her hair, which he had just touched, swaying slightly, Bibi Dong confirmed that Rao was truly gone. She pressed a hand to her chest. The intensity of her reluctance was the strongest she had ever felt. However, Bibi Dong knew the mission Rao had left for her. She took a deep breath to calm her thoughts. Then she turned around. Her expression became cold and severe. In that moment, she was transformed. Everyone, prepare for the enthronement ceremony. Yes. No one dared protest. Even if no one knew where Rao had gone, there was still a mighty limit Luo by Bibi Dong's side. Rao returned. It was still in Mabel's room. Only, things were awkward now. Two pairs of eyes met face to face. Staring into those clear-as-water eyes, Rao didn't show the slightest hint of panic. He simply raised a hand in greeting. Good morning, Yukino. It was early in the morning. Yukino seemed to be tidying up the messy, wet-in-places bed sheets. She didn't want to clean up the aftermath, but that hopeless girl Mabel was so incompetent that who knew how long it would take her. She might even break the washing machine. With no choice, Yukino had to swallow her extreme embarrassment and handle it herself. Thus, upon seeing Rao appear out of nowhere, her toes curled with awkwardness. She hastily bunched the sheets together. Then she said with a straight face. Good morning. Are you leaving now? Where's Mabel? She's asleep in my room. She's really tired. I hope you'll give her a break. Yukino forced herself to say those mortifying words, taking on an air of grave responsibility. Then I'll head back first. Sorry to trouble you with taking care of Mabel. Noticing that Yukino's grip on the sheets was trembling from how tightly she clenched them, Rao decided not to tease her further. He disappeared back to his own home. Yukino stood motionless for more than 10 seconds after he left. Making sure he wouldn't suddenly reappear, a burning flush quickly spread across her cheeks. What am I even doing? Looking at the damp stains on the sheets in her hands, she couldn't even tell whose they were. Mabel's or Rao's. All at once, she wanted to sink into the floor and disappear. You still know how to come back? The instant Rao reappeared at home, he was greeted by a sulky little complaint from Mai. Rao knew words wouldn't help in that moment. Action was what counted most. He didn't say a thing. He simply pulled Mai into his arms and kissed her. When they finally parted, the sulky look was gone from Mai's face, she even licked her lips in satisfaction. Hearing the commotion, Toru and the others gathered around with hopeful looks on their faces. Rao spread his arms wide and laughed. Come here. It took a good while of his superb technique to soothe them all. Only then did Mai return to her soft, gentle self. Rao, take a look at the chat group. Yesterday, a bunch of people asked about you and the newcomer. Even if she hadn't mentioned it, Rao could see the stream of chat messages piling up. Stella, what's with the newcomer? Suko Bujujima, it's pretty rare for someone to request a trade the moment they join the chat group. Akam, if I recall, Suko, you did the same thing back then. Suko Bujujima, yes. If it hadn't been for that trade, I might never have become Rao's first woman. Suai. Are you bragging right now? Iragi Shinoa, obviously. She's totally bragging. Yamagawa I am, ugh, I don't think Suko is that kind of person. Mikoto Misaka, rather than focus on that, shouldn't we pay more attention to Bibi Dong's dilemma? Megami Kato, since Rao-kun is already handling the trade, I'm sure there won't be any issues. Kasuga Hajiri, if it's Rao, then I'm not worried. Maiko Yatsuya, agreed. Chapter 306, Aftermath Talks Frieren. Anyway, let's first ask about the situation. Rao, Bibi Dong, please reply if you see this. Aizawa Shizu, maybe they're, busy with that. Frieren, huh? That's quite possible. Misaka Mikoto? Rao, stop guessing. I'm back already. Frieren, looks like we guessed wrong. Rao, Bibi Dong, Donger, please say hello to everyone. Bibi Dong, hello everyone. I'm Bibi Dong. Bujuja Misako, hello, welcome to our ranks. Kato Megami, let's all look after each other. Iragi Shinoa, Donger. That nickname sounds so intimate. Frieren, indeed. And the newcomer hasn't rejected it, either. Stella? You didn't just charm her in one go, did you? Rao, not that far. Donger and I simply have mutual feelings. We're a little more than friends, but not yet lovers. Bibi Dong, I hope everyone doesn't mind me being here. Rao has helped me so very much, but I'd like to wait until I've fully settled down from this incident before giving him an answer. Sakura Jimamai, that's definitely what being in love looks like. Kato Megami, well, it is Rao-kun we're talking about. I get it. Yatsuya Maiko, it's true, a guy like Rao, strong and reassuring, is bound to be popular. Misaka Mikoto, Rei-ao, and you claim you're not a succubus? Rei-ao, if you say so, then sure. Yukino Shita Yukino, Bibi Dong, did something bad happen on your side? A really urgent deal, perhaps? Bibi Dong, that's... Rei-ao, if you don't want to talk, you don't have to. Nobody here will force you. We're all from different worlds. Yukino Shita Yukino, sorry. If it was offensive to ask, just pretend I never mentioned it. Bibi Dong, no, it's not that I can't talk about it. It's like this. She briefly explained what had happened in the Supreme Pontiff's Hall, as well as the matter regarding Yu Zhao Gang. Yukino Shita Yukino, as a teacher. Or mentor. To do something so despicable? This goes beyond violating professional ethics. In the modern world, that's definitely a crime. Frieren, at times like this, you could say he deserved to die. Stella, Humphrey, if someone like that crossed my path, I'd burn him to ash. Lusting after one's own student? TSK, what a shameless old pervert. Akam, his death was well deserved. Kato Megumi, yes, exactly. Yatsuya Maiko, but that Keong Zunji guy was the Supreme Pontiff, right? Doesn't that mean a super high status? Won't Bibi Dong, big sis, have trouble later? Rei-ao, no worries. I've already taken care of any problems for her. Yatsuya Maiko, oh. That's great. Iragi Shinoa, you say it so casually. Do you have any details? Rei-ao, I think I'll pass. The strongest person there wasn't really strong enough to bother mentioning. Rei-ao, the only noteworthy point is that Bibi Dong will soon be the new Supreme Pontiff. Yatsuya Maiko, wow. That's amazing. Kasuga Hijiri, congratulations. Aizawa Shizu, sounds impressive. Misaka Mikoto, so now our chat group has someone with such high status. Bibi Dong, it's all thanks to Rei-ao. Frieren, sigh, Rei-ao always manages to handle things perfectly. Stella, not necessarily. What about that guy who tricked Bibi Dong? Shouldn't you do something about him? Yukino Shita Yukino, logically speaking, there's definitely a chance he was deceiving her. Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong showed a bitter smile. Seeing how everyone viewed him, she realized she really had misjudged that person. Luckily, the one she truly cared about was Rei-ao. Bibi Dong, from now on, I won't ever listen to his smooth talk or give him another chance to use me. Sakurajimamai, that's the way. Somewhere in a city district. In a shabby little house. Aku. A white-haired man, unkempt and with stubble, sat at a desk writing, then sneezed. He rubbed his nose helplessly. He wasn't sure why, but he'd been sneezing non-stop all day. That man's name was Yu Zhao Gang. He was writing new Soul Master theories. With these theories, he'd become a famous theorist in the Soul Master world, earning the respectful title Grandmaster. But the public only knew the theories belonged to Grandmaster Yu Zhao Gang. They had no idea that the theories he recorded were actually gleaned from the Spirit Hall's library, revised and refined by him. He put down his pen, frowning slightly. He couldn't keep writing. I should head to Spirit Hall again. Surely that saintess, Bibi Dong, would take him to the library again. Yu Zhao Gang was confident about that. Ambition glimmered in his eyes. He wanted to become a truly renowned theoretical master, known throughout the continent. He wanted to make everyone in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan who had looked down on him regret expelling him. I am not trash. Recalling the past, his eyes went bloodshot, his fists clenching tight. If he was a grandmaster in theory, he was absolute trash when it came to being an actual soul master. A colossal failure. His martial soul should have been the continent's mightiest beast martial soul, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Yet it mutated. And it was the worst possible kind of mutation. In a single change, his martial soul became what everyone called a useless martial soul. Everyone laughed at him. Even his father, Yu Yuanzhen, the clan leader of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, drove him out of the clan. So Yu Zhao Gang hated them. He wanted nothing more than to shut the mouths of everyone who had mocked him. He wanted to prove himself. To prove his worth and slap their faces. He even condensed his thoughts into a maxim: there is no such thing as a useless martial soul, only a useless soul master, to comfort himself. Yet he had no idea that this very line proved he was the useless one. Furthermore, he still didn't realize that in this world, people recognize real power, not just a few lines of theory. Without strength, everything is just empty talk. Naively, Yu Zhao Gang was completely unaware that Bibi Dong had already changed her stance. He packed his things, preparing to head to Spirit City. Excitement sparkled in his eyes. Spirit Hall's library, here I come. Chapter 307, Asami Kaminami Weekend. Today, Sumika Fujimiya has dressed up nicely. She did this on Soi's advice. Because she's going to meet someone. After getting off the train, she heads to the appointed location. There, she sees Rao already waiting. She quickly walks over to him and apologizes. Sorry, I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long. Not at all. I just got here myself. Rao replies. His gaze sweeps over her white dress. He compliments her. Fujimiya, looks like you took this seriously. You look stunning. Eh? Being praised like that, even though she'd been hoping he'd notice her outfit, Sumika Fujimiya can't help feeling happy yet shy. Well, I'm here to see you, after all. She blurts out her true feelings before she can stop herself. And then she regrets it immediately. Externally, she tries to stay calm, but inside she's screaming. Ah, dang it. Why'd I make myself sound like some total fangirl? Haha, well, I feel honored to witness this gorgeous side of you, Fujimiya. Rao smiles. Ugh. He's doubled down on it, leaving Sumika a little lightheaded. Fortunately, she hasn't forgotten why she's here. She hands him the elegant paper bag she's been carrying. Rao-kun, here's your jacket. I made sure to wash it thoroughly. Great. He takes it naturally without even checking it. So Sumika reminds him, aren't you going to see if everything's okay? No need. It's just a jacket, and I don't think a beautiful girl like you, Sumika Fujimiya, would do anything weird to it. She's happy to be called beautiful again. But the second part of his statement makes her face go red. Because she did do something to it. Like sniffing it, almost like a crazed fangirl. Suddenly, the mood becomes a bit awkward. Luckily, Rao doesn't let the conversation stall. He promptly suggests. Thanks for going out of your way to bring me my jacket. Let me treat you to some coffee. A friend of mine works part-time at a place that does great hand-drip coffee. Sure. That'd be nice. Sumika answers, somewhat stiffly. And so, Rao takes her to the cafe where Gabriel works part-time. Ding-a-ling. Pushing the door open triggers an old-fashioned door chime, producing a crisp ring. Hearing the sound, a waitress immediately comes to greet them. Welcome, both of you. Please take a seat over here. The waitress isn't Gabriel. She's a petite girl with long purple hair, braided into 2 triple twists. What catches Rao's attention is that she looks familiar. His keen gaze fixes on her. He has a guess as to who this familiar-looking girl might be. But he keeps that to himself for now. Rao? At that moment, Gabriel, passing by from the other side, notices him. Gabriel, you know this gentleman? The purple-haired girl looks at Gabriel curiously. Yeah. He's my friend and neighbor, and a senpai at school. Gabriel lazily introduces him. Oh? So you're also in 3rd year at the Shuchin Academy? The girl's eyes light up. She smiles mischievously and introduces herself. Hi, I'm Asami Kaminami, Class 5 of the 3rd year. Nice to meet you. Rao, Class 3 of the 3rd year. Nice to meet you. Rao responds courteously. Meanwhile, he can't help thinking how coincidental it is to run into her here. Kaminami-ami. She's that senpai character from We Never Learn who isn't really one of the main heroines. Kaminami gives Gabriel a pat on the shoulder. Since he's your friend, I'll leave this to you, Gabriel. With that, she leaves without giving Gabriel a chance to refuse. TCH. Gabriel clicks her tongue, eyes half-lidded, then asks. What would you like to drink? Rao doesn't mind her attitude. After all, he's seen an embarrassed, tearful, bright-red Gabriel before. He says casually. I'll have the house specialty. Then he suggests to Sumika Fujimiya. The owner's signature hand-drip coffee is really good. I recommend you try it. Oh, then I'll get the same. Gabriel writes down the order on a slip. 2 cups of the signature hand-drip coffee. Rip. She tears off 1 copy, sticks it on the table, and slouches off. After she leaves, Sumika Fujimiya leans in curiously and asks. Those 2 just now. They're also students at your school? That's right. Gabriel is my underclassman and lives next door to me. Kaminami-ami is in the same year as me. Wow, impressive. Sumika marvels. Rao says. Impressive? That's an odd way to put it. Haha, I mean it feels like your school is full of handsome guys and cute, beautiful girls. I only know you 3, but all of you are so striking. It's really something. It's not like everyone's like that. Rao chuckles wryly. But there are indeed quite a few standouts. Just among the people he knows, there are many. And among them, quite a number have ended up with him. But he quickly changes the subject back to Sumika Fujimiya. I'm actually curious. Does the university you go to also have tons of beauties? Eh? Hearing the subtext that he's complimenting her, Sumika blushes. She's happy, yet humble. Everyone's pretty, really. I'm just normal. Fujimiya-senpai, you're too modest. If someone like you counts as normal, then I doubt there'd be enough hands in the world to count who's truly beautiful. Ugh. Sumika Fujimiya can't quite express just how elated she feels. Being called beautiful is such a wonderful feeling. After that, the conversation flows in a warm, friendly atmosphere. They chat about personal interests and other small, amusing things. Partway through, Gabriel brings their coffee, then leaves without a word. Originally, it seemed like this would be a peaceful visit. But trouble still found them. Out of the corner of his eye, Rao notices a bespectacled man giving furtive glances. "Here you are, sir. Please enjoy your coffee." Kaminami Imi places a coffee cup in front of the bespectacled man and turns to leave. "Wait a minute." The man in the suit suddenly stops her. "Is there a problem, sir?" Imi turns back, confused. The man narrows his eyes and points at the latte art. He complains. "Don't you think this latte art is a bit sloppy?" "Huh?" Imi leans in to get a closer look. She fails to notice the man's foot shifting into position. "Rao?" Sumika Fujimiya sees him get up suddenly. Right as the man's shoe is about to slide under Imi's skirt. "Arg!" The man screams like a stuck pig. "Eh?" Imi finds herself abruptly pulled aside by Rao's hand. At the same time, his right foot delivers a fierce kick to the man's foot. His cold gaze shows not a trace of pity for the man's cries of pain. Startled by the noise, everyone turns to look. Rao simply says coolly. "Taking secret pictures, are you? This isn't your first time, is it?" Chapter 308, Pervert Caught. The bespectacled man immediately lost his cool. Momentarily stunned, he shouted aggressively. Though actually quite weakly inside. "What are you talking about? Where did I secretly photograph anything? Watch out, or I'll sue you for framing me." He tried to threaten Rao, hoping Rao wouldn't interfere. Unfortunately, he had chosen the wrong person to threaten. Rao said coldly. "Open your phone's photo album." "You." The bespectacled man wanted to refuse. But suddenly, he couldn't make a sound. Something compelled him to take out his phone, open the photo album, and obediently hand it over to Rao. Taking the phone, Rao glanced through it. Although there weren't any photos secretly taken of Asami Kaminami, it turned out he was a repeat offender. There were quite a few candid shots of people taken on the street. Rao handed the phone to the still shaken Asami Kaminami. "Kaminami-san, you can look for yourself." "Oh, okay." Realizing what had happened, she began checking the phone carefully. Fujimiya Sumika also moved closer to look. As they flipped through the images, both of them became increasingly angry. This guy is a perverted paparazzo. Although there weren't any photos of Asami Kaminami, she was still furious at seeing other unsuspecting victims. Just then, Gabriel and the cafe manager, an older man with a mustache, walked over. He showed no intention of sweeping the matter under the rug, saying gravely. "He tried to secretly photograph my employee. I won't stand by and let that go. I'm calling the police." Before long, the evidence was confirmed and the bespectacled man was taken away. Fujimiya Sumika looked at Rao, her eyes full of admiration. "Rao-kun, how did you know he was taking secret photos?" "That's amazing." "Instinct," Rao answered calmly. It really was that simple. Fujimiya Sumika could only guess that Rao had noticed how unnatural the man's movements were. Angrily, she said. "It's awful that a paparazzo like that can't be locked up forever." "Hey." Rao gave a short, mirthless laugh but did not elaborate. To prevent him from harming anyone else, Rao had left a little something in the man's body. The man likely wouldn't survive by the time he was released. Soon after, the manager came over with Gabriel and a casually dressed Asami Kaminami. "Rao-san, thank you for your courageous act in protecting my employee." The manager gave him a deep bow, showing sincere gratitude. "Thank you, Rao," added Asami Kaminami. "I'll accept your thanks, but since we're classmates in the same year, it's just what I should do." "Sigh, people your age who are willing to step up and help are getting fewer these days," the manager said wistfully. Then he waved a hand. "Today, both of your coffees are in the house. And I'll also give each of you a special membership card for our shop. From now on, whenever you come by, you'll get a 10% discount." After the two of them accepted the membership cards, the manager smiled with satisfaction. "Asami Kaminami, take the rest of the day off.